Every step forward is a new beat to your drum. Achieve success with Global.Media.com. Let's celebrate it with or without champagne.
Hello, my friend.
You
Hey
there?
there,
Yeah, I
Mike.
can't hear you. Yes, I
Yeah, how
can hear
you
you
doing?
now. Oh, so far so
Excellent.
good.
Excellent. You're here. That's the important thing.
Yes, sir.
You can add to my conversation.
I take it that the subject is about me.
No, it's never about you. You know, so
I know.
emotional regulation,
Oh,
that's not just about you, is
no,
it?
it's
But to
not.
predict it down. So Abdul
Of
Raf,
course,
welcome. I see you. I see you on the LinkedIn. Yeah, on the LinkedIn events tab. So I see you on the comments there. Well, hopefully I'll see you on StreamYard as well, but I can't see you yet. Let's hope that starts. Let's hope that starts soon. Yeah, you know how this room works, my friend. If you don't, give it a few more minutes. Let's let people join us, and then we'll just start the conversation. No, Michael, it's not about you. You know, it's about me. It's about all of us, really. Yeah, I think we all have emotions, and we all need to find a way to control our emotions. Yeah.
Annie,
So yeah,
I'm worried that I think you've got a cold. Have you got a cold?
no, it's going. You know, when I had a cold, you know, that was last week when I was really dying. But then you
Last
know,
week?
if I
Oh,
say
okay.
such words, they'll tell me that's man flu. So I
So
learned
is
not to.
your nasal passage blocked?
No, I'm back. I'm back to normal now.
Oh,
Yeah, but I'm getting back to where where I should be. You know, so I had a cold. What's today? So I had a cold last Monday and Tuesday before I had to go to London and meet
mm.
Angelica. Yeah, so literally I was dying for a
Oh,
couple of
just for
days.
2 days.
Yeah, well,
Oh,
I'm old enough now to know what to do. So I literally dose myself in cold sweets and the eucalyptus sweets.
yep.
Here
I know them.
it's called halls, black halls is what I call them. They
Oh,
tend to
black.
halls
Okay.
mentholyptus thing, and they tend to unblock your nose, and
Your nasal
then
passages. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah, then I drink loads of tea. You know, it worked. It got me to London in one piece. You know, but
Oh,
every so often in my day, I would basically have, you know,
a
I
fit
like to really
or
blow my
two.
nose, decongest for a bit, you know. But now
Uh-huh.
I'm back to
Profusely.
where I'm normal now. I'm back to normal, whatever normal means. You know, I
Do
can
you
breathe.
remember when we used to carry handkerchiefs?
Yes. I mean, yes, but did I ever carry handkerchiefs? Yes, but I'm saying that's the old days, right?
Yeah,
But
that's
no,
in the old days. But even though, yeah, it still applies. And
mm.
I do not know if they're considered, fashionable anymore.
Well, I mean, obviously the handkerchiefs almost went with the suits, right? Yeah, and if you had a suit on, then you must have that. You had the lapel, the handkerchief,
Yeah.
and but that,
I
that's
always saw them with that.
days. People are less inclined to do that. Yeah, but then
or
handkerchiefs,
you know,
they're a
you
functional
have
thing, right? They're something that we need for a reason.
yeah.
So, but even then, I
I
don't
like
think
suits.
suits are ever gonna go out of fashion. Otherwise, I'll stop buying them. But I love my suits. Yeah. How was I looking smart?
uh, uh, I was gonna ask you about that. What colors do you have?
Uh,
I'm curious.
you're curious. One makes me look like a big aubergine, a big raspberry. So what my wife says. So
Ah,
it's burgundy, but it's more pink, which I'm happy with.
okay. And
And so,
where did you get your suits from?
my tailors make them.
Oh, you got a tailor. Mm,
Yeah, because I love suits.
that's
I love
lovely.
suits. I love suits more
So
than anything
you
else.
do you buy the material and then hey, I want you to make me a suit out of
I
this material.
don't know. I go to tailors. He says, "Right, what do you want?" I tell him I want a funky suit. No, so burgundy is one. So the pink one is another one. I got grey, blue, several, black, several. Yeah. Now
Do you realize
I want a green one.
you want a green one? Oh,
Yes. I don't know
do you
why.
realize when you well, green is my favorite color, so I know why.
Yeah, but it's hard to pull off a green suit.
But
Yeah,
how
it's
green do you want? Do you want it military green or do you want it regular green, grass green? What kind of green are you looking for here?
my fashion stylist would tell you it has to be some darkish green.
Okay,
If,
so
if
military green.
it's bright, but then I probably prefer light green. But it's a choice one makes on the
No,
day.
do you know there's also another one that's in the middle. That's the forest green, which is I guess pretty much more like the military green, but forest green is also one you can have.
Yeah, no, it may well come to that, but I'll have to see it on the day to say yes. But basically, when I go to my tailors, he'll throw this big book at me with all the
Mm,
different designs and colors and say, right,
all the
what do
things
you
that he
want?
could do.
And then when I say which one I want, then he starts talking about materials, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. You know, I know
Okay.
what I want within reason, so I do my
So
best.
what do you pick? Do you pick style first before you pick color? What do you do?
I suppose color and material tend to go together,
Mm-hmm. That is true.
so that's where we start. Style is I don't realize style is not really my problem because I'm not no. There's only a few. I mean, there's a couple of styles of suits, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna go for double-breasted, something funky like that. I want a suit that it works.
That you like that
It buttons
makes
up
you
the
feel
middle.
comfortable.
Yeah. Mm. Anyway, look,
You
let's
can
start off.
walk in.
We've
Oh,
talked
you can.
more than enough. Our friends who are here, I think, why they say waffling about suits. But no, we can talk about
Mm,
suits. We'll talk about suits in detail.
yeah, we can talk about. Yeah, we're just doing that later. We can start the program if you're ready.
Excellent, excellent. Welcome, my friends. Great to have you all here. This is your Being Your Authentic Self in Business live. It was an audio room. It was my first audio room. So I have an affinity with this room like no other. I love many of the rooms. Of course, I love the rooms we do, but I love this room probably more than most. Part of the reason I love this room is because I get to talk about the things that are important to me. See, deep down, my real passion is business growth. I want to see businesses grow. Even though I do marketing to make you famous, deep down, I want to see people's businesses transform. I want to see my friends, my clients' lives change based on the work we do with them and also, I guess, the learning we do together. So of course, my main services come down to what I call make you famous, which is marketing using methods that really work. And that can be boiled down to today, it can boil down to two things, I believe. It can boil down to helping you write your book, publish your book, and selling your book. So I was talking to Taisha earlier. She came into the studio earlier, and we're talking about how we can make authors international bestsellers. So that's my real passion, right? So Stanley, I see you in the comments. So that's one of my gifts for the world. So if you've got a book and you want to make it an international bestseller and have that title the rest of your life, then let's talk. So I guarantee to make your book a bestseller as long as it's a decent book. So that's a big promise, but we've never failed to achieve bestsellers for any of our clients. One person did not engage, so that's what happens, right? Leave me alone, Linda. I haven't got a man cold. I haven't even got a cold. I'm fine. Really, I'm fine. If I sound like I've got a cold, then okay. What can I say, right? So now, slowly but surely, it will clear. So Dr. Marcia, our Christian-based coach, I'm glad you're here. You'll get on very well with Coach David, Dr. Marcia. He talks spirituality from a coaching perspective as well. We do connect with him. It says, Cyrus, I see you. Thank you for being here. Right, we're waffling about suits in case anyone joined us late and you're thinking, what they're talking about. Yes, so Linda says, my father carried a beautiful embroidered handkerchief. Today, I don't know. Are there more alternatives? I wonder, right? I wonder. Posh Londoners, yes, Cyrus. I don't think so. The handkerchief is functional, and I'd love to win. I think one of my policies when I started my business was that I was going to wear a suit every work day. Of course, I can't do that. No, I can't do that now, right? And tailored suits, yes. Tailored fitted suits. That was always my dream. So eventually I got to be able to have my suits tailored by an amazing, and a great tailor, Fox Tailors in Bournemouth. I said I love what they do. So I see you, Dr. Leslie. Thank you for being here. I said also of Irada and Irada 2 that's coming soon. And also an amazing events host. You haven't missed one of her lives, definitely should. And also a goal achievement coach. So, if you want to achieve any goals, my friend, you might think it's early in 2025, but time is going. We're 3 months in already, right? That's quite scary. So you might need to talk to Dr. Leslie to help you achieve your big goals for 2025. I think the goal thing is it's such a minefield. So again, I was talking to Taisha earlier. They were talking about now, do you set achievable goals, realistic goals, or do you set big goals that really move you forward, that really scare you, that almost seem unachievable? But everything's achievable, my friends. Everything's if you're willing to do the work and learn, everything's doable. Elizabeth, we'll see you. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. Hello, everyone. Join you, Mr. N.A. Yeah, great to see you. Thank you so much for being here. Mr. Z, again, Mr. Z and I met earlier. So we're working on his positivity book, how you apply positivity in your life. I'm just talking about it. So I'm excited, Zion. We'll do well, of course. When the time comes, we will launch the suit. We will launch a book. Sorry, so Stanley, you got me all confused, right? Again, if you don't know who Stanley Green is, do connect with him. So I'm part of his Power Thinking Club, Power Thinking Members Club. So we meet once or twice a week. I was lucky to be there this morning, Stanley. That means I haven't got to stay awake tonight till 3 a.m. my time, right? So it's always a great place to learn some of the simple principles in life. Again, part of the reason I love this room is because I talk about the things that I learn. So my co-host was Donna Martin, my mindset coach. And we figured, let's bring this room to the world because I want to talk business growth. And then she wants to talk about how to really grow a business. I'm like, okay. But so when you look into it, you realize business growth comes down to your mindset, really. 98% mindset, 2% what you do. So I end up talking in this room about what I learned from my mindset teachings. Today's topic is no exception. Double-breasted suits. I don't mind double-breasted suits, but I never understood the crossover of the jacket. I just don't understand why one's. I don't get it. So I like a simple suit. As long as it's made for me, it fits, then I'm happier. Annie, welcome. Long time, Annie. Long time. We're doing this to talk, but long time I haven't seen you. I'm so glad you're here. So again, Sam Hall. If you haven't done Sam Hall's health survey, do connect with him and do the survey for sure. And that's you, Annie, saying me, yes. Coach David, you're here, but you're very quiet. But tonight, I'm sure we'll come to you in good time. Hello, Annie. So glad you're here. Right, everyone, look, if you're here, please drop us a comment. We'll know you're here. Otherwise, I would love to welcome you properly and then engage the comments, whether it's a question or there's thoughts that you have, any ideas you have on the topic. So I got my two friends on stage already, so I'm excited. Let's do our best to engage our friends in the audience. If you want to come up to the studio, there is a link. The link to the studio is in the comments. So do click on that and come in the studio and come and share with us. I'd love to know your thoughts on this topic, self-regulation when it comes to our emotions. If you really are struggling to find the link on the event page, then just drop me a comment here saying, send me the link to join the studio. Don't send me a link to my DM on LinkedIn because I won't see it until after the event. So send the link here, please. The more comments, the better. I will address all of them in good time. Okay, so again, as I told you what I do, so I want to help you write your books. Of course, I also do these events to bring stars to the world. Coach David is one of my next stars I'm going to bring to the world on Friday. You get to meet him properly, learn about his books, learn about his amazing service to help people. So, if you want to do an event, then if you want to do events, I don't know where to start. Let's talk. And I've done thousands of events, which is a good thing, right? See, the joy, Michael and Coach David, is that I did so many LinkedIn audios that they started calling me the grandfather of audio, right? The godfather of LinkedIn audio. Yes. I blush every time they say that. And then audio changed their lives. I'm thinking, how do I get my name back? And I'm getting there. Someone called me the godfather of LinkedIn Live the other day. I'm like, yay! Right. It's a lesson in life for me, for everyone here, I'm sure. The more you do something, the more you get recognized for doing that thing, right? And I'm all for saying to anyone, if you want to be known for something, do a lot of it. I'm not saying do it for free. I'm saying just do it. Don't just talk about it. Actually, get out there and do it. So these events I will do with most people. If you want to have a go, I will grant you an event for free. But I never grant people one event for free. After that, there's a bill. My time is worth money, right? I say it's fine to help you to do an event, but I don't want to. I want to do more than one. Without making it worth my while, because it's not fair on my clients, it's not fair on the world, it's not fair on my kids, it's not fair on me, right? But in one event, you can see how people are going to respond to you. You can see how people are going to respond to your topic. And then you can always carry on after that without me. Of course you can. There's no I have no problem with that whatsoever. But, if you want me to help you, then we'll have to come to an arrangement. But how you're gonna make it worth my time? I'm gonna have to get the results that you want. Anyway, let's talk about today's topic. See, last week we talked about the importance of emotion mastery. So I guess the reality is that emotions control our lives if we let them. Someone cuts you up as you're driving on the road. People start swearing, sticking their fingers up, and shouting abuse. I can see. No, I can't. That's ridiculous behavior, right? Why get so angry over a split-second thing? So that's probably why I'm interested in this topic. The more I learn about mindset, the more I realize the different components of mindset. And I think managing our emotions is probably one of the biggest tools in working with a positive mindset. So to work with a positive mindset, we have to master our emotions, develop what's called emotional intelligence. Now, I said I meant to do this topic last week, or 2 weeks ago. I realized it's too big because essentially there are 5 aspects of emotional intelligence that we need to work on. Like I always say, I would love if even if one person left this event and looked at life differently based on what we've talked about. So that's why I've broken it down. So last week we talked about self-awareness, which is the gateway to emotional intelligence. It's the first step on your journey to become the best version of you, right? If you're not aware of your emotions, you don't know how to understand how you're feeling, why you're feeling the way you are, then you can't begin on the next stage, which is what we're going to talk about today. Of course, there's a video of our conversation around self-awareness 2 weeks ago on my YouTube. So if you want a link, again, I can happily send you the link and go and watch the video. But self-awareness is a very important part. You have to know why something is making you angry, something is making you frustrated, something is making you excited. See, when we understand why we feel the way we do, so we'll begin the journey. It's the second stage in our process. Today is called self-regulation. And it's a conversation about how do we keep calm and face life's challenges with clarity. How do we build better relationships? Because if we keep flying off the handle, keep getting angry, frustrated, disappointed, upset at what other people do, then we're reacting to situations. It's on us to control our emotions. Because emotions, my friends, are just temporary feelings. Like I said, the person who drives past you aggressively and cuts you up, if you look at it, you're only angry for maybe you're angry for longer than a minute, but essentially it's a flash of anger that comes over you. How dare you cut me up? How dare you're just a jerk, right? Whereas if you're I've learned to just smile, think nothing about it, and let them go. That's a way to control my emotions. When I was younger, I found no benefit in reacting to any of them. And I guess I'll come to how I reframe those situations in good time. But let's talk about self-regulation is a skill that we need to learn. I use those words deliberately. It is a skill. Our emotions is a skill that we can all learn. You see, whether we're at work, whether in our personal lives, in our personal relationships, emotions play a part. Emotions are just an unavoidable part of life. It doesn't take much for someone to do something at work, then tensions rise. You know, someone makes a comment, someone doesn't do something, so someone does something, and then we snap. Lo and behold, when we sit down in the cold light of day and think about it, we often regret that snapping behavior that we showed. And you know, the likelihood is that by snapping at someone, the chances that we're now in conflict with that person. Yeah, now there's a fight, an argument at work. The same happens in our personal lives. Someone says something, someone does something, we snap, and so now when we look back, we realize we could have dealt with that situation differently. You know, instead of reacting immediately, you know, in angry, frustrated fashion, you know, we pause, my friends. We pause, and there's things we can do, right? Again, I'm not going to say deny your emotions. If someone frustrates you, if something frustrates you, feel the frustration. The client doesn't pay me on time, I feel the frustration. But what I'm not going to do is let that frustration determine the rest of my day. No, my mission, my task is to calm myself down, look at the emotion that I feel, and allow it to pass. More importantly, I can choose how I respond. You know, the client that doesn't pay me, now do I call them to have a conversation? Now, do I email them? Do I DM them? What do I do? But I find a way to communicate with them, have a conversation, find out what's gone wrong, rather than making assumptions. Stanley was talking about now. We make assumptions yesterday. You know, we run down the road with our reasons why this person is so annoying. They've really spoiled my day. No, they haven't. They're just doing what they're doing. I say, no, we can easily regulate our emotions and manage our emotions in high stress or challenging situations. We have to learn to find a way where we're not just reacting to the world around us. You know, we take control of how we show up in every moment. You know, we choose how we respond. You know, because it doesn't help us to fly off the handle. It doesn't help us to react at all. You know, emotional intelligence and self-regulation is all about managing ourselves so we stay composed. I'm sure you see people doing this every day, and you think, how do they stay so calm? You know, but there's simple tricks, there's simple techniques that we can use to stay calm. So when we stay calm, my friends, we make better decisions. We avoid rash actions that we might regret later. You know, we don't destroy our relationships. We don't have emotional outbursts that can derail people from helping us towards our goals. So we choose how we respond. You know, we don't get hijacked by our emotions, by being impulsive. You know, we essentially learn to look at our long-term objectives. You know, the colleague at work, for example, rather than biting their head off because they did something or didn't do something, how can we have a conversation with them to get them to see what we need from them? Whether you're a manager or a colleague, you know, whether you're a leader and a business owner, we must learn to calm ourselves and react and respond in a way that is calm, thoughtful, you know, in a way that considers the other person, but in a way that's not offensive. We don't lash out. We don't shut down. You know, we don't play out our anger and frustration, anxiety we'll find a way to feel empowered, to step back and think before we act. That's a conversation I want to have today, my friend. I suppose the first place to start, really, with Michael and Coach, and Coach David in the studio. Michael, let's come to you first, right? What triggers you,
That
Michael?
sounds
What triggers you, my friend?
well. There was an incident yesterday, which was very upsetting to me. Upsetting in that I got triggered and I followed the trigger and I became very negative. And emotionally entangled myself into a situation where, for some reason or another, there was a voice telling me, "Why are you going down that road?" But I totally ignored it and I said, "Because I need to be satisfied." It was my answer. I was like, "Oh my gosh, you really need to be satisfied? There's no need to go down this road." And absolutely, there was not. And the more I went down it, the more it just did not make any sense as to why I was even headed down that road. So that being the case, let me talk about exactly what happened. I was having a conversation with a gentleman on LinkedIn, and he turned to mention a derogatory word, like stupid, and seemed to apply, and I took that personally. And I don't like that word very much at all. I don't like it when it's applied to myself. I don't like it when it's applied to others. I don't like it when it is when even if I'm not in the conversation and you are applying it to someone else and I have nothing to do with it. I just hate that word. Uh, and I don't even know where it came from or who decided to come up with such a word. But I understand the purpose of it. The purpose of it is just this derogatory word whose purpose is designed to disturb your spirit flow. Your spirit flow. And I'm like, it did. It actually did disturb my spirit flow. I was happy and jovial. And then all of a sudden I turned into this nasty gremlin or whatever be you may think of me as I turned into that. And I kept on thinking about it and I said, if you really think about this thing that you just did, is you allow the word stupid to become a negative burden, a burden upon myself, something that, if you were to die right now, you'll carry with you to the spirit world. I'm like, why would I want to carry such a negative baggage with me all the way out there? I just don't. So it, I think of it as a burden that we allow another person to keep upon us, to heap upon us willingly, to heap upon us willingly. And that should be a no-no. Emotional intelligence it's that, you got to relieve yourself of that burden immediately and allow you to control and apply emotional intelligence such that you're looking for a better and more positive solution to the scenario that that you face yourself in.
I, I,
This
I agree, and
is
I agree entirely. I agree with you. Look,
this
we're human, Michael, right?
right.
And so we have our emotions. We can't turn them off. They will
Oh,
come.
it's
You know,
we will be triggered. And it
yeah,
is what you said you talked about last week is
mm,
basically being aware of it. And I was aware of it, but I let myself go. Even though I was aware of the fact that I was falling into it, I did not have the mechanisms that I do right now to actually turn myself back and say to myself, look, that word, and that's why I'm glad to have had this conversation with you, and also not only back then, but also I'm having it with you now to cement the idea of taking a leadership role in the conversation and guiding it towards a more positive outcome, not a potentially negative outcome which will result in both of you carrying burdens or which will result in the other person carrying burdens. To be preferable, nobody within the room not carry any burden at all, to be free of that particular burden. that is negative, because uh, actually when you feel it, what you're doing is you're transmitting this negative energy, and you're making everybody in the room feel icky and uncomfortable and not want to be there. And I I am I am a person who just does not want to be doing that to other fellow human beings. I would rather, they go out of the room, they come into the room, they were positive, they leave the room positive. It's like we're coming into this world. We come into this world as spirit beings with positive energy. We should leave this world as spirit beings with even more positive energy.
Yeah. No, look, no, again, I can see Coach David shaking that and nodding in agreement. Like, we agree with you entirely. No, I
Yeah.
think it is it's that is the ability to take that step back. Jay says it very well. Christiana, I do see you. Joni, welcome as well. If I've missed anyone, Jeremy, welcome. Jeremy, you must have the third profile now, right? Christy, I see you too. Welcome, welcome, all of you. Right, Michael. As Jay said, just breathe. Literally, for most things, it's a simple case of one strategy. It's not a simple case. It's a case of whatever happens. And I think when we get excited, overexcited, the same thing, right? It's equally damaging sometimes. We need to
Mm.
maintain a balance, and whatever happens, breathe and count to five. Just count to five. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nothing will annoy you. Your brain will soon tell you what just happened is not that important. You see, ultimately, what we want to do is what you just said, Michael, which is leave everyone with a sense, with a feeling of increase. They're happier for having met us.
Mm.
Again,
Absolutely.
like I said, this is a part of a series. This conversation today, right? It
Hmm.
is a part. And I said my next conversation is motivation, and then we're going to talk about empathy. Then we're going to talk about social skills. I say it that way because ultimately, our emotions and having control of them is about helping us to achieve our goals in business, in our personal lives, right? And then we must learn how to lead people that's feeling of increase, how to make them feel better, how to help them, by understanding where they're coming from, why they're doing what they're doing, right? And then showing that we do understand, and we find a way that we respond in a way that meets both our needs, me, you, and the other person, if that makes sense, right? That's
Yeah, that
empathy.
makes a lot of sense. In
Mm,
fact, it's interesting to note that I was taking a look at something that, in fact, I'll post this on in the comments. Something from Snoop Dogg when he bought a car dealership.
mm,
He had a negative impression when he came in, and he ended up telling them that we are going to be making changes in our training sessions so that we can leave our customers with a more positive
mm.
outlook towards life, even if they did not buy a car, their
Yeah,
experience here would be positive.
mm,
And
yeah.
that's significant in terms of leadership qualities. I mean, he turned the room around in a matter of seconds when he said that. I mean, good God, that is the kind of I would like to follow
Mm.
if I was there in that room with him and being one of the salespeople. I would certainly agree with that. It would
Well,
pump up my
but try that in your life today, and you find it's doable. It's we let ourselves be upset by triggers. This is the conversation last week, right? Or 2 weeks ago. I'm saying, it's our choice whether to be triggered or not. Of course, we can work through our triggers, the things that truly make us react in a way that we don't want to react. But it's a choice that we make. So, but our topic today really is about the fact that we can control we can control our response. We have to control our response. It's not we can, we have to. We must. We must find inner peace. Sometimes it is identifying those triggers and then working on them. But even if we don't do that, I think we have to learn to control ourselves, and that comes down to just slow down. Slow down. You could easily reframe the situation. So there's many different ways that we can respond when people do jar us. But we need, we can't fly off the handle. Again, I know many people who are just angry constantly. I'm sure you do too, right? It doesn't help them. It doesn't help anyone. We must find a way to respond in a way that helps us especially. It's positive. Coach David, I'll bring you up if you want to add. Look, I don't want to make a point of Jay's comment. No, I got a message this morning. So I turned the computer on, and there's a message from one of my clients saying, "Please clarify." See, I was about to respond and clarify, and I thought, no, calm yourself, Eddie, calm down. Nothing you say is going to be positive to move this conversation forward. Michael, I still haven't responded. Don't mad message is what Jay says. It's worse than drunk dialing. I agree. Don't never. I said, always give yourself that space. I try to give myself that space to think about it. Even if I'd had to respond to that to said person, I probably wouldn't have sent it, because I would have waited to think about it again a bit more. I'm saying, but we just need to learn to control ourselves. Slow down a bit. It's not rocket science. Coach David, I'll bring it back again, Michael. Coach David, how are you doing?
I'm excited. I'm happy. So good to be here. Can you guys hear me? Am I okay?
Yeah, you're fine. Look, headphones are great until they stop working, and then suddenly it goes haywire, right? We can hear you.
Mind of their own.
Yeah, and I said, well, you didn't know when it goes wrong. After it's gone wrong, that's the problem with it, right? But it's all right. We can hear you, we can see you. So, how are you doing?
I'm good. I've been listening to the conversation, and Michael, thank you for that illustration. It's very powerful. All of us have been there, and we will continue to be there. It's an imperfect world. We will have irritating moments. I'm dealing with self-regulation 2.0. I've passed 1. Let me explain by 2.0. There are people who know that you're emotionally intelligent, and you really are always suing for the best. So they come deliberately to irritate you. And so it's a deliberate effort. And the problem now is, it's not emotionally intelligent not to confront them. Because they will keep doing it because they want to manipulate you. Michael, it will surprise you. Maybe the guy knows you're that kind of person that loves human beings, and you love human dignity and spirituality. And because you have a point to prove, you always want to be above board, this person turns into a manipulative tendency. There's this kind of people too, who will now always, and the more you try to be graceful to them, the more they now come and deal with you. So that's what I call 2.0, where now you're dealing with something deeper than just the first incursion. But let's go back to the first one, 1.0. Thanks, Annie, for having me. You see, whatever anyone does is a trigger. Whatever anyone does is a trigger. Whatever anyone does is a trigger. You are the one that attaches interpretation to it. Whatever anyone does is a trigger. The anger is yours. The irritation is yours. All the emotional states of mind. There are about 8 emotional states, 8 things that describe our emotions. They are different. There is your mood, your thoughts, your feelings, your imagination, your memory, your paradigm, your perspective, and your perception. They are all different things. If that trigger has no meaning to you, you see the signal hits your mind. Someone says stupid. For example, if you never knew the word stupid before, you've never heard about it before, you are incapable of being angry. So you had learned the word stupid, and you probably have attached stupid to a moment of terror in your soul. The word irritates you. So before the provocation, the place to start from is to identify your triggers and your personal trigger circuits before the day of provocation. Work on yourself. That's part of self-awareness. I don't like this kind of thing. Not only that, we must go to healing. It's not enough to identify. If you don't forgive those who have hurt you, you're going to bleed on those who love you or those who you meet in your journey. So, in what ways have I been traumatized before? Where are my trigger points? At what point do I feel insulted? Peace of mind. There's some people feel I'm angry with them or anything. It's just that interacting with them is difficult. I've got an uncle who you can't talk. You can't say anything when he's talking. And he's constantly blabbing, as far as I'm concerned, less intellectual stuff. He has loads of, I don't want to use negative words, in my own opinion, but in Africa, anywhere we come from, you can't tell an elderly person who is your dad's younger brother or something that, uncle, I think you are not, you can't say that. So the best is to keep smiling at him and then avoid all conversations with him. So if he calls you, you don't pick it, then he thinks you're angry. No. I'm just protecting myself. You are a constant trigger. You will trigger me, disturb my emotions. And there are people like that. Oh, you didn't pick my call. You didn't come and visit me. That's 2.0. And when you now go, they will now insult you. The plan is to trigger you. So avoid the Christmas parties where they're going to talk nonsense. Avoid the auntie who has a useless opinion. I mean, how do you see a young lady that's trying to lose weight? And then the first thing you tell her, oh, wow, is there 3 of you in your body? Why are you looking this grotesque? Man, that's not a nice thing to say. The young lady is already feeling self-conscious. Don't make her uncomfortable. So the young lady comes to me as a coach and says, what should she do? I say, can you avoid going to that place? There's no need to meet those triggers. There's no need. But while you're doing that, we need to work. We need to work on your being comfortable in your skin. We need to work on the fact that we need to beef up your self-belief. While you're on your way to losing weight, you must accept yourself, empathize with yourself, love yourself, and kill the trigger. If you make a jest to you, someone says that you're looking like a pork, you look like pork or something, tell them they're looking, laugh. You're also looking like a cow. It takes a cow to know the pork and the pork to know the cow. You must find a way of healing before the day of trigger. The trigger will come. There is a day when you are going to be touched, and trust me, it's going to be in the biggest business room. And remember, our goals are our goals, but our reality are our habits, and our habits are driven by our emotions. This is why you must become emotionally intelligent. My own definition of emotional intelligence, after studying about 20 years, literally, is that your emotions have intelligence. He has data, he has insight, he's telling you something. How do you take the language and understand your emotions and begin to... So the first place to start from is to be aware of these triggers. I don't like looking stupid. I don't like feeling sad. You must write them down. I don't like this zone. I don't like people like Michael doesn't like anybody that dehumanizes another human being. He's probably gone through trauma there and is on a mission. So you write it down. And this is not to Michael, this is to all of us. Number 2, there are people to avoid. You don't have the strength to resist them yet. There are people to avoid. There are people trying to manipulate you into that zone. While you're healing, you don't place yourself before the infectious disease and test your strength with a very bad-mouthed friend. No, there's no need. The guy is very stupid. He's on a journey of wrecking people's life with his mouth. You keep healing yourself. The day is coming when you'll be strong enough. When you're strong enough, you've healed. You don't care what anybody says anymore. And you see, why we feel this way is simple. If you sufficiently succeed in many other areas, and there are many ways of getting that place, you must have some buffer against this resistance. There are people who are trying to penetrate your shining armor, and they will try to. In fact, some people are irritating. They hate your self-confidence. The more confident you are, they want to break that place. So what to do is to become tougher on the inside so it doesn't offend you. Look, let me give you an example. In Africa, when you do this, when you spread your palms like that in Africa, you're abusing the person's mother. Now, Joe probably doesn't know that this exists because she has no record of it. It may be me saying hi, thank you, maybe high five. It may be high five. But Annie and I know that when you do that, you're abusing me. If you are aware of the insult, if the trigger makes sense to you, don't forget the formula. The trigger hits you. When the trigger hits you, that's why you are Homo sapiens. The power to rationalize. The power to rationalize, the power to think through issues. That's why you are not an animal. That's why you are higher order animal. The power to reason is yours. Many years ago, I'll stop with this illustration. I know I've unpacked a lot already. There's this military man. I mean, people were standing at the bus stop in Africa, and there's a military man, and someone from the back slapped a young man. He was beside me, slapped him. Now in Africa, when somebody slaps you from the back, the first thing you want to do is to respond. So he had gone to the recesses of the earth to take a slap back. With the corner of the eye, he saw that the guy was on camo uniform. With love and respect, he turned the slap to a salute. He was angry, but there was a deterrent. The deterrent was that this was a military man who could deal with you. In Africa, we had military regime. Unknown to him, he had stepped on the guy. The military man was behind him, so he stepped on the guy. Because he stepped on the guy was very angry and slapped him. He was going to retaliate immediately, but he knew rational thinking. So there's reflex. Your muscles in between, you see, your muscles and your mind are one. The muscle and the mind are one. Whatever your muscles continue to receive from your mind, they will act out. Your muscles and your mind are one. This is very important. In fact, this is why people don't die until their minds die. Medical science has proven that difficult diseases hit people, they don't die. But when their mind gives up, then they die. You don't die until your mind gives up. So whatever the mind keeps thinking, the body will act out. There's something called the muscle tone test. We can't do it here. But whatever the mind holds continuously, your muscles will act out and becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy like that. So the point is, the power of rationality belongs to you. Before you respond, work on rationality. Before the day of offense, before the day of the attack or trigger, work on if you think it's legitimate to always respond, to always react, I beg your pardon, not respond. If you feel you always want to react, then to continue like that. But if you want to be a better human being, because the day is coming when someone wants to give you a real business deal, may irritate you. Look, you go for a conference, this was going to give you £100 million deal. They keep you at the reception because the receptionist made a mistake, and you don't like being insulted, and you walk out. On the most important day, your emotions. Zidane, remember Zidane, the footballer? That was the last match of a 40-something-year-old career. Nobody heard what that guy said about his mother. I wish any could play the video. It's a 3-minute clip on YouTube. He heard about someone. He got the first red card in his career. Was supposed to be the highest best football player of that tournament. It was a 40-something-year-old career, stellar career, most well-behaved player. The guy said something about calling his mother a certain name. We don't know what he called his mother. But Zidane's expression made the issue a press conference. They had to call a press conference to ask him, what did he say about your mother? So Zidane had to tell the whole world what the guy said about his mother. It was a private conversation on the pitch. But that was the end of a 40-something-year-old career. He went away from football after 40-something years unceremoniously. If you don't work on your emotions on the day of glory, on the day when your emotions should be your ally, they will fail on that day. And trust me, that day will come. Preparation is that you begin to work on the triggers and your heart before that day would come.
I agree.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you. I think that there's a lot you said there, which says me talking, right? But then it's true. I think that there is. The emotional triggers. I love how you focus on that. That people will do things. Are they trying to annoy us? Maybe, but not really. Part of me thinks they're just doing what's right for them. It's for us to not to respond, as you say, not to react, as you say. Because we are the ones that give whatever they do the fuel to upset us emotionally. Maybe we've got those triggers that you're saying. Let's address those triggers. I think, for me, it's about trying to get to a state. There's a book, to act as if nothing bothers you, literally. I mean, someone has to work hard to get a reaction out of you. That's how I choose to live. Again, when you do what I do, it's very easy to respond to clients in a negative way because we feel triggered. You haven't paid me You said this, you did that. But I think we have to learn to calm down. Again, maybe when we cover the empathy subject, because that's about understanding where someone else is coming from. Putting ourselves in their shoes. I've seen that in the comments, right? Put yourselves in their shoes and truly think, what are they thinking? Why are they behaving that? Why are they doing this? What is in their mind? So half the time you find what they're doing is not even aimed at us. As Michael says, we're carrying this burden, this bag of what I don't like on our shoulders. No, get rid of it. Now lose that burden of things that you don't like, that make you mad, that you're never going to put up with. Lose that. I'm not saying don't feel emotions. I'm saying learn not to respond based on, autopilot, based on being triggered. Learn to respond based on what you choose to do to get what you want. That's the point, right? We can all learn to respond better in different situations. And sometimes anger, is an emotion that people feel. Again, I'll tell you, let it go. Anger is not, it's not a positive emotion. Let it go. You mentioned Zidane. He got very angry and kicked the other person, kung fu kicking his chest. I'm saying that's not a way to respond to anything, right? It really isn't. Is someone trying to trigger me? Maybe. It's not going to work because I'm in Annie's little happy bubble, right? So you have to work extra hard to really make me respond. Half the time, it looks like I'm dead. I like it that way. Joni, how are you doing? You're on mute. I muted you, so.
Yeah, that's okay. Hi, doing good. Yeah, long day. I'm glad I was able to catch you guys at the end. So, it's really nice weather here, but that means it's muddy as all heck. So, whew, that triggers me because my dogs bring that into the house.
Is the fireplace really on? The fireplace is on,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah.
I think we've seen it on before.
Oh, yeah, fireplace is really on. I just like the ambiance. So that you can do like heat from it, or you can just have basically the fire on. So I do like it. It's calming to me. So that's yes, it's really on.
I do like that. So I could just watch that all day. Don't ask me why.
I could too. I just like, should I work? I don't know. I love this. I'll do some push-ups in front of it. I'll be like, it's wonderful. Kidding. But not kidding. But what I like this topic. I do think it is a little gender specific. I think women can be a little bit more.
In what way? How this is gender specific?
I think women they are just more emotional human beings, and it's a little bit harder to be regulatory on those emotions. And so I guess it definitely depends on the human being. But I have struggled with that a little bit, especially being a single mom, and I have struggled with that a little bit going through family court when no one can seem to bring out my logical point of view. And instead, it's like so black and white, like the points they're making. And it's just simply unfair. And so, or untrue. And so I do feel like when it comes to family, I am definitely more emotional than perhaps my ex-husband. And also, working in the construction industry, I'm one of like a few women who do it. And guys can be a little cheeky, and I I'm not going to let that fly. So I kind of liked what you guys were talking about with body language and, whatever you guys were doing. I don't know. But I know from growing up in Philly, this was a sign of power that you shook someone's hand. And if your hand landed on top, you were in control. And so I do that sometimes. They're like, what, you being a power player right now? And I'm like, it's just like how my body naturally goes. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I'm like, no, I'm on top. I am. And so that's something that was ingrained in me when I was like a kid. But yes, I think it is so good if you are really feeling frustrated to take a step back and process and realize that most people are very they are in themselves. They are not really caring about you. It's like they are it's just human nature. So if you think they're taking a dig at you, like maybe not. And so in a workplace, I do think it's good to confront someone in private so that you do not have a backlash from either ends. I'm certainly a confronter of someone who I feel like, I don't know, something was said and it didn't resonate with me, especially if it was something about me. But it's not always the best move to say exactly what's on your mind. And that's what a good coach or a good therapist is for, to kind of bounce those ideas off each other so that you don't feel quite as, I don't know, I want to say like disempowered. So it's really more so that you can feel empowered, that you have a voice and you're using it in the right way, because you don't want to look like a fool, especially like at a workplace situation. And believe me, I have before. Like I just like, all right, you're off the team. Go. Just get in your car and go. We're done. I'll pay you for the day, but you're out. So I have definitely fallen victim to my emotions before. But yes, I do think in all situations it's hard. It's really hard, and I am really forgiving to those who just kind of feel frustrated by a situation and like let their voice go. Like anything more than a voice is a no. Just don't get in like a bar fight or something. I don't know. But yes, I think it comes with experience, and there are some people who really will frustrate you. And that's a good thing to like write down and bring up in therapy or coaching sessions, because it is it's okay to feel frustrated at that human being. Professionally, is it going to get you anywhere? No. Will it feel good in the second? Yes, it will.
Sadly, I think you're right. Everything you say is correct. Look, people will frustrate. Of course, they're going to frustrate. People will frustrate you, but like you say, they're just doing them, right? They're just doing. They're just doing. You do you, and it's how we respond that ultimately determines whether that's an annoying thing or not. If it's true, truth be told,
Yeah.
and and I think all of us, everyone here, and everyone full stop, we've reacted with anger and with frustration and many times, right? But if I look back in my youth being literally anything more than 3 years ago, right? I could respond like a fool. You know, and it's not that we make ourselves look foolish. It's that we regret how we responded. I think it's trying to avoid that regret thing.
Yeah.
And part of me seems to, I think I'm thinking a lot of people, they're playing the game. They're playing the emotions game. It's not that they want to wind us up. It's that they are playing. They're keeping cool and giving us a chance to explode.
That makes a woman madder than anything. You know, you're just like, especially in a relationship, you're just like, come back and talk to me. Just talk right now. I don't
No, I refuse, Jodie. No.
I'm sorry. This is purely on my emotional opinion. And there is a very different thing between getting heated with a partner or in a relationship, a marriage, versus being in a work or professional situation. And I do find sometimes it would make the best points ever when it just comes right out of my mouth. But
I feel like you're right. Especially in construction field. I worked in construction when I was younger. Is there any industry where you still have apes in charge? You know, literally they behave like monkeys. You know, they can still.
Like if anyone says I'm less than because I'm the woman.
Yeah, which they will every day, I'm sure. You know, because like I said,
my team mostly respects me, but like, you know, I have a lot of macho type guys who come in and out of working for me, and I'm like, don't disrespect me. Don't disrespect me. Like you don't want to see like the gangster Joni come out.
You see, I think again we set ourselves up to be upset. If there's someone new in your team, I'm sure you're thinking, what are they gonna? Are they gonna go there? Are they gonna push? Are they gonna say that? And then again, I'm back to my point about Michael, about us carrying out this luggage of upsets behind us on our shoulders. Onto someone.
I suppose. How can you not? Like you've had experiences growing up since the time you were just born, and so you kind of have that inherent frustration in some ways inside you, regardless that you know how to deal with a situation, or your parents knew how to deal with the situation, or you know, whatever. And so it's it can be a gut reaction that you have to kind of quell. But I do think that, sometimes, like, especially for women, you get a little irritated if a guy can be, I don't know, like think like he has more knowledge than you in a work situation. And I don't appreciate that. And so no siree. Don't call me baby. Nobody puts baby in a corner.
No, look, it's a fair point you make, of course. You know, and you know, so we can all learn from from your insights. I guess, and I didn't think there's a gender specific component to the conversation, but I guess men, as men, we can't have it both ways because we're told we don't talk enough, we're not emotional enough, and so I can see where you might come out. You might come with your idea that women being more emotional, displaying their emotions, might take things more seriously than men do. I can see that.
Yeah.
But part of me is wondering.
I stopped crying at the office, so that's a good thing. Guys do not like crying at an office. So we're past that point. But it is, like I just said, always a learning experience.
There's more in there. Look, I like your idea that where there's disagreement, we can, if we control ourselves, take that into private conversation. And the whole point of self-regulation is taking that time to slow down and breathe, and then figure out, how do I get what I want?
Yep. It's so I literally, as you know, I listen to so many podcasts because that's my entertainment. But I believe it's called Diary of a CEO, and I think this guy is great. He's originally from Great Britain, and
I know who you mean. I can see his face. I don't know. I've forgotten.
he's a good-looking South African.
Yeah.
But he just interviewed a woman who was trained a lot of the CIA agents, and talking about self-emotion regulation. And it's so fitting that you have this right now, because I truly just listened to it like 2 days ago, and I was like, how does this woman, I'm like, you're probably from Eastern Europe, because they have it the fuck together. They're just like, no.
Okay, so
no, we cannot do that.
So what's the top strategy that you came away with?
Well, what I shared about not having a meltdown, and also not being a sucker. So if you feel threatened or embarrassed in some way in a business situation, take that time to go and be like, I would like to put that on the books, and we'll create a time for us to speak about that, because that's not okay with me. But don't do it at the lunchroom and be like, yo, I heard what you said about me.
That's part about it.
No.
No, it is about being controlled. It is about choosing how and when you tackle the issue. If there's an issue, right?
Correct.
There is a
time. There's a cooling period. And like our parents, at least my generation, they were like, don't go to bed angry. I'm like, maybe sometimes I should go to bed angry.
No,
I feel better in the morning, and I'm just happier.
And I said, my wife and I, we probably never argue. We might disagree, but we would never argue.
It's really wonderful for you.
And no one wins. There's no point. Some would tell you, it means that we don't care enough. But I don't believe that. I say, no, we'll find peace in those situations because we have to live together. I'm saying,
no, that's good. That's wonderful. And you have a child, and it's it's different in those first couple years, and especially myself, if I'm dating someone, it's still new. I'm not dating someone right now, but I'm just saying it takes a while to get to that point. And so sometimes little stuff can just be irritating because you don't know that person well enough. And that for me feels different between a work setting versus a home setting. But anyways, I know Christina, sorry, she has some great stuff to say. I'll stay on.
You see, I will say, I think when we learn to regulate our emotions, control ourselves, we can do it in all parts of our lives. Really. So my simple rule is, when I do the events, for example, to literally be attached to nothing and be open to anything. So it'll take a lot for someone to say something that I'm going to have a breakdown about. I'm just not going to have a breakdown about anything because I'm just attached to nothing. And anything, the way you do events, you're willing to, you have to be open to hear anything, right? So now, again, I mentioned earlier, living life as if nothing bothers me. I think, but it's a deliberate choice. The last one I'll say as a strategy that I use often, maybe daily, is working out what is in my circle of influence. What can I influence? What do I really care about? What can I change? What can I control? That's
I think
what would.
there is also some really good tools if you feel frustrated that work for different people, like, taking deep breaths or just like walking away or, writing some notes down so you don't forget your whatever you want. Or,
Yeah, like
I do
journaling.
push-ups.
No, journaling is a good way. But look, my friend, no, we need to ask ourselves, what is my circle of interest? What do I really care about? I can give it's a simple example. For years, again, when I was younger, so my wife and I were arguing because she wants the pets in the bedroom. I'm like, no, over my dead body. I'm Nigerian. Bingo doesn't come in the bedroom, Coach David, right? Michael, no, Christiana. Bingo doesn't go in the bedroom ever. But my wife, she wants bingos in the bedroom, right? All Nigerians don't put bingo, by the way. Anyway, so eventually I figured, you know what? I don't really care because it doesn't really harm me. It doesn't affect me at all. So I was like, whatever. So I think it's working out for you. What is your real thing that you're interested in that really affects you? Those you might want to have a conversation with the other person about.
So you're basically saying this particular podcast should be more about pick your battles.
Yes, exactly that. That's a good way to put it.
Mhm.
Good way to put it.
Okay, like
Thank you
Christiana's.
so much. So I'll let you go. But please stay on stage. We always hear more from you at the end. Dr. Marcia, are you in a hurry? Is your
Well, I'm
connection?
not. I just have some internet issues, but I'm on.
Okay. No, so let's talk to Christian and I'll come to you. I'm glad you're here, though. Thank you so much for being here. Christiana, you're laughing. Why are you laughing about bingo?
Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Just the way you said it, bingo, you're never going to win that one, Annie. That's why I'm laughing.
I know. And it took me years to realize this,
It was
right?
a non-starter. That's why I was laughing. Oh, it's unfortunate I've got to go very soon, but I'm going to say this. So the first thing to say is it's so good to be here and I love this topic. And I really have enjoyed what everybody has shared so far. And I like this topic because it reminds me of my journey, some of my journey. But I'm going to probably mention two things to really get those who are here listening to understand why I say the things I'm about to say. The first thing being my husband. My husband is so laid back. You know, we're literally entering our 26th year together, and he's so laid back. He's like, oh well, water off a duck's back kind of thing. That's always been his nature. And he has this saying where he's like, is it the end of the world? It's not the end of the world. And sometimes that used to at the beginning of, when we were earlier on in our relationship, it used to drive me nuts. Even though I believe that there's a time and place and choose your battles, wisely, I felt there were moments where you needed to speak up. And I'll tell you why I say that. We are in control of how we react, how we allow others to influence us or influence um, our reactions, influence our actions that we take. And when we give others or we react so badly to the situation, what in effect we are doing is giving somebody else power over us. And I really kind of learned that at a very early stage. The first one being when I was in legal practice. I no longer practice anymore, but back in the day, I remember two things. The first one being I was firstly mostly the only woman in the room, with middle-aged men. That just thought I was just this 12-year-old that shouldn't be 12-year-old who is not even a secretary, who's an intern that needed to come and make cups of teas and things for them. And I continued to get that every time I go into these meetings. And I remember one fine day, I walked in and I was the person who would do a research. I I had all my paperwork. I had my my paginated index files and everything I needed. I was there to actually save their case, save their case. And so when they said to me, one of the men in the room said made a comment, and his comment was, "Oh, go and get me a cup of tea, love." That was his comment, and bring some for all of us. And in my head, I was like, hold on a second. I went, did my degree, did my master's, went to law school, I qualified to be here. So I have a right to be here. And I really had to think in that moment, do I react? Do I walk out? Because that was the umpteenth time I was hearing this running joke. Or do I just remain calm? And how do I stop this from happening or continue to happen? And so what I did was I said to myself, okay, you have the key, the power right now. What you've got with you can save everybody's bacon on this table in this boardroom. And if you walk away with what you have. And I guess you also walk away with a reputation of someone who doesn't kind of finish what they start. So I sat there and thought to myself, what am I going to do? And what I did was, I boldly said, actually, I'm here, as part of council. I'm here to deliver what I believe you need to resolve your case. And the room went quiet, right? And also, the one thing that allowed me to do that, in my head, I've said to myself, calling me a 12-year-old is a compliment to me, because that means that to you guys I look young. So I'm not really bothered. I'm not really bothered. I had to really think about that and think about what does that mean for you in this moment. And I spoke up and I said, just to let you know, I went through X, Y, and Z. I deserve to be here. And I do not need to justify myself. However, if you're interested in wanting to win your case, I suggest you sit up and you listen to what I've got to say. Or I will walk out this room and you will lose your case. Simple as that. Simple as that. And you know something, the room went quiet. It was you could hear a pin drop in that room. I say this to say I could have chosen to react because I'd heard those words in my ears, so many times. And I could have chosen to react because I could have been on my podium saying, well, I'm here to save you, and I'm here to X, Y, and Z, and without me you can't get through the case, and so on and so forth. But I really had to listen, to regulate, to understand what I was feeling, why I was feeling the way I was feeling, and what was I going to do about it. The second example I'm going to give is I once worked in a law firm where the the joint partner of that law firm, from the day that I began in that firm to when I left that firm, never wants to use my name to refer to me. He always referred to me as the exotic thing. Yes, you heard that right. I was referred to as the exotic thing.
Oh my God.
And
Yeah, sorry.
that continued for well over a year. And when I finally left that firm, and people might say to me, why would you allow that to happen for such a long time? At first, I began by telling the person, to tell him my name or remind him. And then I realized that it it would make no difference because he quite actually enjoyed the reaction and felt and thought he had the power to do so. And when I stopped, towards the end when I left, I stopped. And I had less and less to do with him. I'd gone out of my way to ensure that I didn't end up in the same space as he was, despite being a partner and also being my mentor at the time. I just refused to spend time with him. But when I came to the end of me leaving, I really had to speak up because on my very last day, I had chosen to leave the firm. Same space as for several for several reasons, but that was one of the reasons because I decided I didn't want to be in a space where somebody was so disrespectful that they would not use my name. And quite frankly, he thought that that was something positive. He was quite proud of the fact that that's the name that he gave me, you know. And so when I finally decided to leave on my very last day, as he mentioned, exotic thing, I would not repeat the things that I said. I said it very calmly, and I ensured and made sure I said to him that he never refers to anyone that looks like me that comes through these doors again as an exotic thing, that they had the right to have their name be used. Now, throughout that situation, I could have left a long time ago. But if I'm being honest with you, it was something that I went to do. It was my own journey along the way. I knew what my goal was in that space, and I knew what I wanted to get out of it. So I looked at ways to manage the situation as opposed to reacting in the situation. So I said again, all of this to say that how we choose to manage, how we choose to self-regulate, it is not for others to, because when we allow them to come into our space, when we react in the way that negatively impacts us, because at the end of the day, we're the ones who are impacted negatively, we give over the power to others over us. And it's so important that we really take the time to assess what the triggers are, why we feel the way we feel. We label those feelings. We then ask ourselves, what do we want? What's the outcome we're looking for? Why is it important to us? And how do we now find a solution? And what is that solution? What is the impact of the solution that we're choosing to have at the end of the day? And that's me. Thank you so much. And my mic.
Thank you.
Go
Don't
ahead.
call the exotic thing. Yeah, I know you can't kill me for saying such words. But,
Sorry?
but I think I shan't call you those words ever again. So I'll leave that alone. You're a friend of mine, so and as you say, Joan, it's a HR issue. It really is a HR. It's a discrimination.
Oh yeah,
issue.
it is.
It's
So honestly,
But
I
HR
don't
didn't say
know
anything
a
wrong
lot.
with it. Sorry to cut you
Oh,
off.
sorry. I wanted to say there, honestly, like there is, gosh, I don't know many women who have not, and been in business and not had like a similar issue. I remember getting a really great job about 5 years ago, and it was some other guy was a little I don't know, maybe miffed that I was sort of taking his role because we were supposed to be like kind of cohorts. And he was like, wow, he's like, they went with a pretty girl. Amazing. He was like, does your daddy work here? And I was like, I was like dumbfounded. I just didn't know how a human being could say that out of their mouth. And I was like, I know my parents live in Philadelphia, and I have X, Y, and Z degree in this experience, and so I was the best candidate for this job, and I could not help myself because it made me so frustrated. But his daddy owns one of the largest like parks, kind of entertaining areas, like where wedding venues. And he kept like touting that up, like how much money his family had. And I was like, is your daddy on the board? I don't know. But I would never say that to you. And there was a couple more incidents that happened similar to that because of his kind of a uncertainty about his own intellect, that I did eventually report it to HR. But it was God, it felt good to like just be like bleh. Like but does your daddy work here? Weird.
Joan,
Yes,
I've got a question for you. So in your case, you spoke to HR
I
and
did.
HR took it on board and did something about it?
They had to talk with him, but no, did they really do anything? No. It's it felt very low on their priority list of what to address. But I did report it, and it didn't turn out to be the company for me because it was so machismo. But it ultimately, I felt like I did the right thing, and I never have been disrespectful of another human being, how they got to their job. I've never been that way. So I felt okay. I felt a little justified saying, does your daddy work on the board? Okay. But that's where it ended, and I kind of I just like wanted to show a little bit of power, which maybe is not the right choice. But it felt good, guys. It felt.
But imagine you saying that to HR and HR repeating what he had said to you instead of listening and pretending to do something about it. So in my case, HR thought that what he had said to me, there was nothing wrong with that. And after all, I am an exotic thing, just from the way I look. So that was HR's perspective.
What's that
I
mean?
mean,
You came with fruit?
exotic because you're black. Like, what are you talking
Exactly.
about?
What's that mean?
Because you're pretty. Ridiculous.
I think there is a lot.
It's all a mush in one. So that's what that was.
That
What that
HR,
meant.
that HR. I'm sorry I cut into you. That HR
Okay.
is not HR. It's called HRU. That's
Yes.
that's HRU.
Yes.
How do you reinforce that? I mean, how do you say that to someone? How?
I do want your perspective actually. So yes, tell me, coach.
Okay. Well, the truth is we have to train people how we want them to treat us.
To treat us, yes.
We have to train people how we want them to treat us. What I admire about your case is that you did not keep quiet about it, and you process the emotion. Interesting, let me say this. Irritation and anger are tools within emotional intelligence to be used.
Yes.
You can use your anger, you can channel, you can reframe. So I love something about your case, the case study of your own experience. You actually thought through. When you're describing is not one day, it was several weeks and months. You observe the person. I mean, it's okay to call you cute little thing. When I say it's okay, I don't mean it's okay. I mean there is a way he said it. You see, there's communication, there's meaning behind the communication. The meaning behind the communication got to your subconscious. From his mind to your mind, a certain conversation, some certain words, that cute little things meant something else.
The exotic
Thank
thing.
you. Exotic thing means something else. That's not a professional
Yes.
limbo. You
No,
probably
it
felt
does.
He communicated lack of self-worth. He communicated some loose connotations. This is the interesting part. It means he's a loose person. It means he's a loose person with his life.
Oh yeah, he is.
And he's trying to pin that on you because probably that's the way he sees the opposite sex who have your stature and your aura and your mien. But excuse me,
And
you're
just like
someone's
me.
sister, you're someone's sister, you're someone's daughter, you're someone's mom. He can't, and what is good is that you isolated him. You didn't allow it to affect your professional life. You didn't lash out and start a big fight. No, and you handled it well. And for the sake of those who are coming behind, you made a point of duty to report. But excuse me, look at Mr. HR or Mrs. HR. Who should
Yes.
be the custodian of common sense?
No, not in this case.
Also decided to cutify. I mean, I don't know what to say. So what people
There's nothing
mean?
wrong with.
No. I'm sorry. I'm going to label them as chauvinistic. And don't forget again, it means the HR was probably also a loose person. You see, when people talk, they speak from their souls. The realm of their thoughts, emotion, and intellect is speaking. Decoding what is behind the conversation and
Yes,
that is
it is.
hurtful. If it's a casual joke, I mean, I'm sure you have a friend that calls you. For Michael may not like this, but I got friends who start the conversation with stupid. I have friends who come and say, "Hello, stupid. I called you 10 times last week." It's called a mobile phone. Stupid. It's called a mobile phone.
But
It's called a mobile phone.
I accept that totally because
But that's a friend.
when I was
But that's a
younger,
friend. But that's a friend.
but listen,
It's
when I was
banter.
younger, my granddad used to say to me, "Idiot no because now how you talk him." So
Exactly.
when you think about it now, who they call you idiot? Now your friend or now your enemy they call you idiot.
Thank you.
I understand them.
Yeah.
So
You understand the meaning behind what he was saying. There was a
I
way he said
understand.
it. Exactly. So
But
the
I didn't want to
meaning,
give the person the power over me. That's the
yeah,
big.
that's very
You have to
beautiful.
understand
Very
this
beautiful.
sector, this industry, they wield their power. What I learned from this in the industry is the especially the middle aged. I was dealing with middle aged white men, and they wield their power, and I saw how they wield their power. I didn't add lots of the real situation that happened with me in this story, in this firm. So much happened, but I really had to focus, and those things could have taken my focus away, but I had to focus on why I was there. My why was what kept me. My why was what really got me to keep going. And in the end, when my why was almost satisfied, I said to myself, now it's time for me to get up and go. But before I go, I'm just going to let you know exactly.
Have you
Sorry?
written your
No,
book? Have you written your book?
no, it's not.
She's working on it as we speak.
You need to write this for young African women. There's a self-esteem, self-confidence issue. If you had lost your cool, they would have branded you the mad young African lady in court.
Oh yes, of course.
So
Of course.
that
The mad black
emotion.
woman.
Thank you.
The crazy exotic one, honestly.
The exotic
Yes,
one.
thank you.
Crazy.
I mean, that should be the book. That should be a chapter in the book or the book itself. The
The exotic one.
It should actually be there because young people who are growing up like you should understand the cultural context, the cultural intelligence, the situational intelligence, and that it's going to, even though
How
you're the
you
one that's
handle it.
right, even though you're the one that's right, it could become an issue where you are now seen as a grumpy,
Of course.
unhappy, rude,
Aggressive.
aggressive.
All this other language that's
Great.
used.
It's
You
all on
deserve a
you.
medal.
Even
You deserve a medal.
I will say this to you, down to my hair in that firm. There was so many things that happened. Wearing my natural hair to work was an issue. The way I paid was an issue. Wearing my African print blazer to work was an issue. And there were so many things that was constantly an issue. But when I thought about it, because they thought that they had the right to call me an exotic thing, they could let me get away with what they weren't happy with. so long as they can keep calling me exotic thing. So there was really a lot that was happening in that
See,
space.
I'm
You
like
know,
I'm
um,
liking Linda's idea that you could have asked him what he meant by that comment, and because she says that will put the onus back on him to explain himself.
I didn't need to ask him. He said why. And when I left, he openly said why.
Why?
He
Look, every black person here, every non-white person, a middle-class man here,
mm,
know what discrimination looks like, and we've all
mm,
been there. So I'm saying that's just a fact, right, for all of us.
yes.
So
You're gonna
what
put
was this
women in
man's?
that category.
No, you're a woman, so you don't you're not a middle-class white man.
No.
No, it's different, but I see it. I understand.
No. So what was the reason, Christiana? What was his reason? I'm flabbergasted. Go and tell us, please.
So he gave me several actually. But the ones that really stuck out for me was he thought of me as someone tropical. You know, it made him I made his day. I made his day.
He's digging that hole for himself, right? He's digging the bigger hole that just keeps
Yeah.
going and doesn't want to
I
stop.
made his day for him to come out to work, and he was thinking about this exotic thing at work who, was nice, was dark. Because the thing that he said to me, like I said to you, to repeat them, we would be here all night. It was the fact that my complexion, there was nobody else that looked like me. I was something interesting to look at.
Racism at its highest, sexism at its worst.
This guy went as far as trying to fill me up at work.
Yeah, look, the thing I would say
It's also
I was just a plaything.
I think you are epitomizing my idea of self-regulation. The fact that you stayed and got what you wanted. That's what this conversation is about, really. Self-regulation it's about knowing what your goals are,
and your why.
Know what you're there for and what you want out of the situation or this person, and do what and respond accordingly to get what you want.
The sad thing is, in my experience, let's not forget that I began my legal career at the age of 19. And in my experience, that was common for me to experience. And what was happening was, like if you want to get up and go to somewhere else, thinking maybe somewhere else would be better. By the time I got to the third change, I said to myself, I can no longer move. Because
they're all the same.
And also, what that looked like on your CV at the time just made you look like you're someone who was either unstable, unreliable. And so I really had to make some tough choices to say, do I stay here and just focus and see myself through? Or do I keep moving, trying to find a place where I would feel I'll be treated as I wanted to be treated? Because in actual fact, being the only woman in that space, and also the only Black woman in that space, it kept happening. So I really had to decide, do I want to keep moving around, or do I want to focus on the reason why I'm here and achieve what I needed to achieve so I can move on to the next step? It's crazy because I eventually left the legal profession completely for my sanity. Actually, for my sanity.
No, look, I'm agreeing with Linda. He's more of a bully and clown than we all thought, which is true. And she asked a question, which I think, it probably wasn't just you he was causing discomfort to. I'm sure there are other people in the company, because when someone behaves like this, as the coach said, it's a pattern of their lives. It's how they behave. They just got their own problems, right? And I love Elizabeth's idea. Literally, if someone keeps triggering you, triggering negative emotions, we have to set boundaries. Protecting our peace that has to be our priority, right? Because I'm not going to argue with anyone today and say to anyone, ignore your emotions. Someone has been we have to set that, put those boundaries in place. You know, it's a conversation we need to have that's I think we need to work out.
Yeah.
You know?
Sometimes conversation isn't enough. I
No,
mean, in some situations, I mean, you can see it here in various different areas here in the United States, like how young Black people are targeted way more than the, okay, I'm not going to fully go into this whole issue, but then the police.
Same in UK, by the way. I'm saying that it's just saying in all Western countries.
It's just you can understand. So Christiana had at least the education, the poise to kind of address that in a specific manner. But you can understand why a young guy who gets pulled over for no reason and flies off the handle because he also doesn't have that learned experience because maybe he hasn't graduated high school. Maybe that's just the neighborhood he grew up in and doesn't have those tools yet.
Yeah.
And yet they're still targeted at like,
I agree.
It makes me crazy.
The thing about people like that is people, okay, I'll take this guy, for example. He was loved by so many. I'll say love, maybe it's a strong word. He was admired by a lot of people. I think probably the two of us who really had a different opinion about, because we'd really seen the real him. I believe HR were aware of his isms and who and how he was. Probably still is till this day. But everybody else turned a blind eye. Everybody else was okay with that. And for me, when you're in an environment of that nature, you have to really decide, do I continue in this space or do I get up and go? Because it's about culture too. That was their culture, right? So with it being the culture of that firm, I really decided that this place was not a place for me and I had no business being in here. But nonetheless, I really had to focus on what it was I wanted to achieve and to leave. And there were so many difficult things that came up with me being there. You know, like I said, I could have reacted differently. I could have, you know, I could have become the mad Black woman, but that wasn't something that really for me. Like I said to you, my grandfather said to me at a young age, idiot is not a curse, it's how you say it or who said it to you. And so I took that literally and really tried to, you know, implement that in every situation that I was in. And when I met my husband, he made it even clearer as that thing of, well, it's not the end of the world. What is it you're really looking for from this situation? Think of what you want from the situation. If it works for you, great. If it doesn't work for you, get up and go. And when it stopped working for me, I got up and I went. But it doesn't mean it doesn't have an impact. It has an impact because you come away and you have to adjust yourself in an environment. The next place you go into, you know, I didn't become acutely aware. I didn't become afraid. I was very much aware of my surroundings, or more aware. I will spot things a lot quicker, a lot sooner. You know, not because I was waiting for it to happen, but because I just happened to have that experience, and I can see things for exactly, or people for who they really were at the time. And that's the benefit of self-regulation and self-awareness, really understanding, you know, one, your triggers, two, how they make you feel. You got to label, what am I feeling? What's the causal link here? Why am I feeling this way? What does this mean? You know, and it's having that. And this is the reason why I believe that young people like need to understand that. And coach is right in what he's saying. You know, we have to educate those who are going to come through that, who are still 18, 19 and are going to be coming through. I mean, these days, the profession has changed completely. When I was in the profession, it was very rigid. You know, there weren't a lot of women that were in the profession for me to go to and even speak to. And the women who were around really were fighting to be seen, and also that meant that they would accept anything, they would accept any proposition that were propositioned. I was propositioned, and I said no. No way. And they would play the game just so that they continued in that space and be seen. That wasn't for me. So yes.
I know.
You
I
know, I
know.
think you did very well to carry on and to get what you wanted. I say again, the self-control, the self-regulation that you showed, you know, obviously it got you far. I still say, if something is bad practice, report it. If it's against the law, report it. No, I told a friend of mine today, for example, my stalker is outside. I'm saying report it, but the police never do anything. I'm saying don't let that stop you. Report it again and keep reporting until eventually change happens. But Christiana, there's much for us to learn from you for sure.
Annie, can I talk about stalking and reporting
Oh,
stalking?
no.
No, just
Dr.
oh,
Marcia,
sorry. Yes, Dr. Marcia.
Dr. Marcia, Dr. Roxana, and then Cyrus. I need to get their idea. No, you hold on to the idea and hold on to the thoughts, Christian. Then tell us at the end. How's that? Yeah.
If I'm still here, yes.
Yes, go and Peter.
Well, that's Dr. Marcia, and I think we just
And
lost that.
Cristiano, you and I can have a conversation about stalking.
We can, and I'll leave the screen on. I'll leave there's always a debrief afterwards, right? So you can share. Let me welcome to superstar, my favorite friend, Lisa. How are you, Lisa? Are you having a great day? I'm asking you, not to you ask us. So I'm glad you're here. So Brian, welcome as well. And so women are strong, generous, and command the room. Someone said men are more emotional than women, which I can understand. So I think that's a thought. All these LinkedIn users, are these you, Cristiano? I think they're you, right?
Yes.
I'll get to read them afterwards and learn some of your genius. And of course, Kim, welcome, Kim. So Annie does a lot of events. I'm so glad you're here. If you're on my YouTube, my friends, please like today's video, comment on today's video, and then subscribe to my channel, whoever you are. I need more subscribers, right? I would need more subscribers. So please, if you're there, you must do the right thing. Thank you so much. Coach, we have to laugh sometimes, otherwise we have to cry, right? So don't worry about that. So Dr. Marcia, I'm glad you came back. Let's talk to Dr. Marcia. Let's see what Dr. Marcia has to say on the topic.
It's a very interesting topic, I have to say. There are so many variables that have been brought into the mix. I want to say hello to everyone that is on the play. And I also want to say how happy I am that we are touching different areas. And we are touching personal issues. We're looking at family. We're looking at workplace. I thank all those who came before. I want to speak from a different point of view in relation to emotions. For me, I think they are neither good or bad. I think they are natural, very natural. And as a Christian leadership coach, life and career coach, I find that these are signals that makes you know what you can tolerate, what you're willing to tolerate, and why you're tolerating. So it helps you to navigate your life and what really matters to you and how you want to respond. And I want us to notice the keywords that we are using, because how we receive the messages from persons who are really sharing how they naturally feel and pushing out the signals and vibrations that may give us joy or irritate us or frustrate us or drive fear into us or make us feel rationally that this is it, is natural. How you respond is very natural. And I think it has to do with how we regulate, as you said, our joy or gratitude or love and so on, and how we self-protect. The emotions in themselves can be challenging because it can make you feel angry, it can make you feel sad or fearful, as I said before. And these provide now the signals for us to take proactive action into our real needs, into how we can protect ourselves, how we can manage ourselves, and how we can actually manage and protect other people. Now, I believe that we must not suppress our emotions. I believe that with all my heart because it leads to so many things. It leads to burnout, depression, suicide, stress, resentment, hate, bitterness. It can even lead to suicide and murder. And so we must find a way to express our emotions, but we must do it with wisdom and we must do it with self control. We must really acknowledge them. We must identify why we are feeling how we are feeling and what we are actually feeling, and we are to process them before we react, because we might be justified in feeling that way, but our response can trigger and make situations worse because there are persons who hurt people unintentionally. Let me explain that, because they are scorpions. They in themselves are toxic because they grew up in a toxic environment, or they have had to survive in a toxic environment, and it has made them develop certain coping mechanisms that give them a certain type of skin. And so how they present themselves and represent themselves, they are not even aware of how they are received, because it has become so natural for some persons because of the survival mode that they have been forced in. And I don't want us to ignore those things, because those are very important. And that's why coaches are important. That's why counselors are important. That's why psychologists are important. That's why mature family members are important. And by the way, maturity does not necessarily walk with age. Sometimes age walk alone. I think maturity has a lot to do with your experience and the lessons you have learned from your experience that have built you and made you a better person. And so we must be able I'm sorry, to communicate our expressions and our feelings with honesty and respect very wisely. And that is why the Bible says we are to really talk and not get angry and sin not. And that is why it is saying we must be very, very quick to listen, but we must be slow to speak. And it also advises us that there is not all truths must be known. There are some persons who does not need to know why we are feeling a certain way, because the fact of the matter is they don't care or they can't manage. And they don't care because of how they have become, because of how they have used or managed their emotions, whether negatively or positively, how they have built this cocoon around them to ignore what is really happening to them, because they are in an environment where if they are to express it, it is very much suppressed, or they face torture or abuse. And that happens in workplace where persons feel that they can't do any better because their bills and so on have to pay. It happens to spouses who are dependent on their spouse, means mostly females who know that because they are housewives or because they have joined themselves, they have to stand up to all sorts of things without showing emotion in the relationship. There are children who we dictate to and who we give ultimatums that force them to suppress their emotions also. And so we have to understand that all of these variables that I have put here have in some way cultured us. And we want to understand that children who come from a secure upbringing where they are able to express their emotions and not be judged or maligned in their homes, who not feeling attacked because they are saying this is how I feel, respectfully guided to express themselves, become very, very supportive themselves and become very healthy in their self-expression and very respectful and very conscious of treating people the way they want to be treated. People, for example, children who grow up in unstable upbringing and who are usually in a toxic environment, are, such as neglect or trauma or emotional suppression, have had to, how should I put it now? develop coping mechanisms that become instinctive. And so some of them become narcissists, some of them become manipulators, some of them become very strategic and game players when they become adults, because they have gotten enough years to practice it, because of who are their parents and their family members and how they have had to navigate survival in their homes that should be homes of protection, and should have been had guardrails that guarded them. So they are learning how they learn to manage their emotions to get what they want. Turn them into these individuals as they move out. And so also, am I talking too much, Annie? Do I need to stop?
No. I'm agreeing with you. So I think
I find
No, I like what
also
you're saying. Keep going.
find also that men who are taught to be tough, many men are taught to be tough, and so they tend to suppress their emotions. And so sometimes if they are feeling sad or fearful, and I want to click the word fearful, or uncertain, or out of thoughts, not knowing where to turn, or helpless, they really don't have a lot of persons, even among their main team, that they can talk to say, this is how I'm genuinely feeling, and I need help and I need support. And this can lead to so many things, which can turn out to be manifest itself as a negative emotion in the home that we call aggression. Because this man feels that I am alone. Everybody's looking to me. Who do I look to? It is the same. Women are often encouraged, on the other hand, to share their emotions. Let me explain. If a woman, a family is in a home, a man graduates from school, a youngster, a male, and his sister graduates also. The man is unable to get a job. He's seen to be not pushing hard enough, not making the effort. But the daughter in the home who has the same situation is not seen as not pushing hard enough and not making an effort. There's also the case where a man might lose his job and he's struggling to get a hold of himself and to manage his affairs in his home. And it is a challenge for him because he goes out every day. He's not able to get the job he's maneuvering. And he's seen as not pushing hard enough, or as giving up on his responsibilities. But if it happens to his spouse, that's not the same response that persons get. And so we have to reach a stage where we balance it so people can be happy in managing their emotions, whatever those emotions are. So it is the parents or guardians, in my opinion, and family members who really set the foundation for emotional management. And if it is misaligned, then we have individuals who go into these different spaces and we call them discordant nodes. And so if a child sees healthy communication, how we manage our stress, if we are not ranting and raving when things don't go our way as females and males in our homes, if we are not manipulative, if we are not vindictive, if we are not unkind, then our children are not going to have that as a first emotional response. And also, if family avoid discussing how they really feel and the struggles and issues that they're having in their homes, you will find that you produce children who struggle with emotional expression in adult life. And these are ways that we tend to ignore. If we are bullies in our homes, if we don't get what we want, whichever side it is, then our children become bullies when they go to school, and when they get into adulthood, they demonstrate the same behavior because that is their emotional response. And we have to be guarded how we give our children every single thing, so we don't teach them to fish and become resilient, because they have this sense of entitlement that they take with them into every relationship in adult life, because we never allow them to fend for themselves, problem solve, critically think about the other person's feelings, because the moment they threw a tantrum, we just gave them everything, whether for convenience or for our peace of mind, or because we want to negate on our responsibilities, because parenting is difficult and it's very hard. And so
Yeah.
the societal expectations are very complex and very challenging when it comes to emotion. So what am I saying? You must become aware of what triggers you in any situation, what you are, your non-negotiables, why you are responding the way you are, what your core values are, and why you have those core values. And you must see how you respond to anger, withdrawal, or stress over a period of time. What makes you withdraw? What makes you become extremely stressed? What makes you become extremely angry? What makes you overcommit, because emotions can make you overcommit too, because you have this insatiable desire for praise and for approval and affirmation, because you were so criticized and beaten down in your home or among your family members or in the situations that you have had to interact. You need to also develop hobbies that give you joy, physical activity, and meditation on those things that can make you cope in a very healthy way. You also have to learn how to lovingly confront and express your emotions to get the results that you want, because you have a right, you are worthy, and you deserve to be happy, and you deserve to be treated with respect, and you deserve to have that type of, to feel comfortable where you are, and you should not be struggling, and you have a right to be vulnerable. You have a right to buckle under pressure. You have a right to relax and to rest. You have a right to pause. You have a right to procrastinate, because all of those things are part of the emotions of life. However, you also have a right to understand that you are your best self and you're your greatest asset. And so managing your emotion depends solely on you. It is not your emotions that is the problem. It's how you respond and how you give people power over you when you become like them, to overcome them or to tolerate them or to beat them or to show them that they cannot defeat you. You must use mechanisms, you must use actions, you must use strategies that add value to you. If you find that in projecting your emotions, it serves no purpose, it means that you have to relegate them and choose those that will become advantageous, mutually advantageous to both persons, so that there can be a mutual understanding and a mutual resolution, and there can be mutual happiness in any environment that you serve. If it is costing you your life, your emotions, your joy, your peace, it is costing you too much. Something needs to be done. And whatever emotion, sometimes it is justifiable for us to become very angry and let people know that enough is enough. And there are times when we can tolerate persons because they are growing and fumbling in the dark to know and to discover themselves, to become better persons. And we might just be in that environment to do that. And there are times when we must pause and realize that if we are the recurring decimal everywhere we go, we have an issue, then it can't be the environment. It has to be you. And you take those steps to create the person that you really should be, that makes people comfortable and not disrupt everywhere we go, because some of us have that personality where we believe that this is how I am and I must express myself how I feel at all times to everyone, even those who can't manage and who you must consider, because everyone is not like you. And so those are the things I want to say about emotion, and those are the things I want us to think about as we navigate this complexity of what we call emotions, good or bad emotions, and how we deliver and show up. We must make sure that we put ourselves in the place where we treat people the way we want to be treated if the situation was reversed. That is a hallmark of actually managing our emotions and remaining happy, when we justify ourselves that we have done our best and we show up exactly how we could in the instance of how we show up, and we actually become so vulnerable that people understand that we really care and that this is not a good day for us and want to support us, and we want to do the same for others. Thank you for allowing me to share.
Thank you. No,
And
preach
Dr.
on,
Marsha,
preach on. Someone said, no, I agree. Look, I think self regulation is king. Bad habits should be reported. I couldn't agree more, Coach David. I couldn't agree more. I think that they're not.
Dr. Marsha, can I ask one question? Or not one question, one comment. I wanted to say that those skills are still able to be learned as an adult. If you had a shit childhood and your parents didn't give a crap about you, whatever, or I just kind of left you alone and didn't impart those skills, you can still do it as a grown up.
Of course,
You can still
you have to. It's not you can. You have to.
Well, you
know,
have to, but some people can be
And I
difficult.
say that's where a coach comes in. That's where a coach comes in.
Agreed.
Somebody
Agreed.
capable, somebody who can manage. Exactly.
no, I agree. I think the other point I would make is this is about, and it's about empathy. Many people lack empathy. It's about understanding how people feel. How the other person's looking at things. I think we need to probably emphasize that as much as anything else, because people who are ignorant, people who are abusive, they rarely give a thought to how the other person feels. That's a skill we have to teach our kids up to master as much as anything else. Self-awareness, yes, of course. Knowing what triggers them, but knowing how to and why they should care about how others feel. And it's not rocket science. This conversation is about how do I get what I want, and ideally, you get what you want as well. Without riding roughshod over anyone's emotions and anyone's boundaries. They say that's the calculation we have to make. What does that look like? And the answer is not rocket science. It is take that deep breath, slow yourself down, but be very clear what, as you said, Dr. Marcia, be clear what you want, be clear where your boundaries are. Again, if someone does transgress your boundaries, like Christiana told us, the best thing to do is work out how you're going to respond. Be calculating in your response. That's emotional intelligence. That's self-regulation in action. We've been very deliberate. Someone mentioned how tall, I think it was you, Jody, how the taller you are, the higher up you go in companies. Again, it's simply that those who get to the top, they learn to manage their emotions. They learn to play a game. And people reward them when they show what looks like a balance, what looks like, emotional intelligence. That's the truth, right? Because they can get what they want by playing the emotional game.
That was like a little bit more about actual physical size. That's a true statistic. If you're physically taller, you seem more dominant. And so you can get ahead just a smidge farther than some 5'3", 120-pound woman coming in. And so yes, you have to definitely regulate the emotions for things that don't matter, but things that matter, like I'll stand up for anyone that, if it is an injustice, like it's true. I will. Like if someone's being rude to their child, I'd be like, yo, you want to take a time out, I don't care.
I'm
But
you see, my wife is 5'1". I call her 4'9", but she's
that's
5'1", right?
really,
But she
you're not
controls.
4'9"
She has authority over a lot of people, and so I'm
because of her
saying,
demeanor.
yeah. Well, no, I think it's choosing how you respond to situations. We're having the same conversation over now. It's the same thing. When
Yeah,
people disrespect her, you choose how you respond. And much like you do, Jonah, much like Christiana does. We choose how
I choose, but I also volunteer at the local county. And, there is so many young women who did not have the same emotional intelligence growing up that made just a bad choice. And it's not a bad choice that, it can't be rectified with the help of a good lawyer, but they don't have money for that. So instead they're locked up. So it's, I'm sorry, I'm going into a whole different category.
Yeah, don't do that.
Okay, we're not gonna do it. We're gonna do it. Okay.
It's a mixture of many things. As Dr. Marcel says, it's complicated. But the one place that we can start is our responses, our values, our goals, our boundaries. That we can control. Many other things we can't control. But we can choose how we respond. And that's what we know. We need to learn how to respond in a way that works for us. I can't say that enough. That's a qualifier. It must be the way that works for us. Otherwise, we're just being hijacked by our emotions, and people are triggering us left, right, and center, and we don't get what we want, and then we just carry on going around in circles. I'll say that for sure.
Yeah, I'm
Michelle,
excited to hear what Cyrus and
yeah, let's go to that.
Right.
Michelle, welcome. You're never too late. You're here. That's important to me. And of course, I can see you on my YouTube. So please stay there. Like the video, comment. If you're on anyone else's video, YouTube channel, Dr. Roxana's, or Coach David, please like our video and do engage with our channel. Subscribe as well while you're there, right? Henry says, in our new 2025 era, business era, that is being increasingly regulated by greed-driven machines and the no truth polarizing language. Trust levels in business are plummeting. How can we use sincerity and integrity of emotion to gain better trust of others? Dr. Roxana, a simple question for you to answer, right? You got this. How can we use sincerity and integrity of emotion to gain better the trust of others? You're on mute. You're on mute. You need to unmute first. Yeah. You're still muted. I don't know why you're muted. Is it your device?
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we hear you now. Thank you so much. I'm glad you're here. So
You're
thanks for
welcome.
waiting. Thanks for your patience. Right. So can we
Yes.
use the integrity of emotion to gain the trust of other people?
I think I know what the topic is. Is managing your emotions, right? Okay. That is not what you just do in a day. It starts in a family. I have taught for decades, and I taught high school. You can always see a child in your class and know how, after the first reaction, you will find out the kind of family the person came out from and how to deal with the person. Suppose you have 30 children in a class. I usually have 30 of them. And some of them just come in. Every day they come in, they start behaving like they're the only ones in the class. And some of them will just come in and, they will show that someone taught them how to behave. So teaching children how to behave matters. And if a child is not taught how to behave from childhood, from the family, it doesn't matter who taught him or her. It could be the mother, it could be the family. Well, it shows when the person goes out. Some carry it to high school, some take it to college. Actually, some lose their jobs because of their behavior. You notice that your emotions can send you packing, or it could be attitude, can call them attitude. We say that a good attitude can take you to 99% of where you're going. It's not your degree. It is not what you learned in school. It's not all the accolades you have in your pocket. Even at the age where we are now, your attitude, your emotions will take you to anywhere. And you notice that there are some adults that still have some kind of emotions. When you stay with them, the way they will behave or the way they talk to you, no matter how many degrees they have, either they are so belittling, and you know it by the way they answer, and you don't even want somebody with this kind of emotion to be your boss. And there are bosses, there are managers, there are bosses with this kind of emotion, and they are still there. So you don't really want to just keep, because when you are looking for a job, you are also praying for the people you're going to work with. It's not just about getting a good job, because the person you have there ahead of you, your boss, or your immediate matters a lot. What kind of emotions does the person have? Has he been trained to actually tame their emotions? So I think that there are things that people, you have to be mindful of the way you behave. What triggers you? And your triggers matters. If you start on time to learn how to tame them, to not react so quickly, and it helps a lot. And also you have to make sure that setting boundaries matters a lot. The way people talk to you or the way people relate to you, maybe you may not know you have actually accepted a whole lot. But if you say no, if people know, if somebody knows that you can say no, or you have the right to say yes, and they know there are things they cannot talk to you about. So that's why our people say you have to be careful what you tolerate. You need to be careful what you tolerate. Please stop me if I take too much. I think you have a whole lot of people here, so I'm just not going to take a lot of time. But I'm talking about being controlling your emotions. You can work on it. It's learned from home. It can also be controlled from home. And you notice that some children who came out, I already said that before, some children, it depends on how the family behaves. Some kids bring them to school. If you're a teacher, you actually know that. And that can actually make or break a teacher. Some teachers come to school, they're hired, they're paid that much, they get happy, but 6 months after, you go look for those new teachers. If they are still there, they are strong teachers, especially in high school or middle school. So we have to, if we can teach our children how to control their emotions, and if you can teach yourself, if you already learned it, because you cannot teach what you don't know. Okay, so that's a whole lot of ways we can, mindfulness, that's a whole lot of ways you can control your emotion and make sure that it doesn't cost you your job, it doesn't cost you your friendship. You notice that some kids, when they go to school, they are always, the principal or the headmaster always calls their parents. I don't know if you have children like that, or if you have been in a class where a child will not let you teach. In fact, some kids will not let you teach, and they go home on suspension. They are back to school 1 week after, they start doing the same thing because they don't know how to. It's something they're learning in school. And you'd be surprised. It depends on who is coaching them. They need to be coached. It depends on who is coaching them. This child might actually, after a semester, they will change. They become a new person. Depends on the teachers they're handed over to. Okay, so I'm trying to say that everybody needs to work on the emotion. You don't get up from, I mean, it depends on your family, and people have triggers. If people can just walk up to you and talk to you anyhow, and I already said, it depends how many years you have been in this world. I've been around for a long time. There are some managers that have all kinds of emotions. Sometimes you're getting ready to go to work on Monday and you are actually sweating on how to deal with this person. And so there are some department heads, there are some, so it is something to be worked on. I'm happy that you're talking about it. And it's some people have to work on it. And when there are adults that have this, there are people you cannot control. Either you get away from them, or you get another job, or whatever you have to do to keep your mental health. Okay, so we need to put emotions on check. It is not what everybody has. Some people have this emotional roller coaster. Okay, I think I'm going to stop here because you have a lot of people on the line. Thank you for letting me speak. I told you I was driving, so I'm back.
Thank you. I'm glad you're back. And thank you for your brilliant addition to our conversation. Amelia, I see you. Welcome. Amelia runs the Audio Leadership Club. So she supports audio events, hosts. So do join that. Of course, she does live rooms herself. So do connect with her and find out how you can benefit from her services. I'm one of the members, so I know what we do. So it's a good thing she's doing. No, Dr. Roxana. It is a battle that starts in the family. I agree. And I guess I'm holding on to the fact that, and as Jonas said, we can change, we can learn. I think you made a point as well. The kids who come in on after being, after looking at them on their way out, suddenly they find themselves. They find empathy, they find maturity. Mm-hmm. And they find a way to control themselves rather than being reactive to everything. So I think then we have to learn, right? And even our kids have to learn. And sometimes it's therapy, really. I'm saying, so there's different levels that emotional intelligence can be imparted. But I think that I will build on Dr. Marcia's point. We can't suppress our emotions. That's probably the biggest risk that we face. To be fair, right? We need to learn how to, feel our emotions, process our emotions, and then use that to get the change that we want. And work out how to leverage that emotion, not by being angry, not by being frustrated. This is, it's a game of smarts. I think, I believe it's a game of smarts. It's knowing how to get what you want by leveraging your emotions, and sometimes leveraging the other person's emotions too. That's why I say when I talk about empathy, it is about how do we get what we want and give people what they want, and everyone wins. That's the conversation we're having, really, right? Everyone, you must win, and the other person must win too. When that happens, the world's a better place, right? Especially in a business setting. If you think about it, the colleague that you could have blasted and gone to war with suddenly becomes your biggest ally. I say it happens every day, right? I'm sure it happens in schools as well. The kid that you could be fighting, suddenly becomes your best friend. I'm saying that's by knowing how to manage people, how to manage emotions. But like you say, it starts with yourself, though. It starts with you managing yourself and knowing what triggers you, and knowing how you respond to things, and then working out what's the way that benefits me. That's emotional intelligence for you. But no one said it was easy. Everything's hard, right? But we start with things that we can start with, and that's normally with the things that we control. What's in my control? What's under my control? That's where we're how we respond is under our control. What others do is that's not down to us at best of times. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't put the boundaries in place. Again, part of the emotional intelligence is knowing which boundaries do we need to put in. I'm saying, listen to Christiana, listen to Joni, for example. It's knowing, do we say, right, we need this policy in our workplace. We need this agreement. We need these rules. That way we have that peace that Dr. Marcia mentioned. It's thinking through, rather than waiting to react. It's thinking through, what do I need in place so I don't have to react, so I can respond in a way that works for me and works for those around me. Go on, you're thinking, Dr. Roxana. I can see you thinking.
I'm thinking, and I I'm just saying that it's you can manage it, you can control emotions at any time. We need to set boundaries, and meditation will be there. Mindfulness will be there, and it comes to a time where you can actually see. Especially somebody who knows who adapt to you, depends on what it is. But there are so many ways we can control our emotions. Otherwise, it destroys some stuff in relationship.
Yeah, again, I think it's a case of finding your peace, right?
Yeah,
Mindfulness is about finding your peace. Starting your day, with your happiness, your sense of purpose, your peace.
I
We
think
can't
it's
say that.
maturity too, because there are things I know I cannot. I'm not going to do at my age now, wherever I am. So
Thank you.
when it seems like somebody crosses a boundary, maybe I have to. If somebody crosses your boundaries, that's what I said before. You have to set a boundary. Set a
Yeah,
boundary when to say no and when to say yes.
yeah, and find a way to express your unhappiness, your
Yes.
so, your
Mhm. Not
your feelings.
holding it in.
Yeah,
Not
don't hold
holding it.
that.
Yeah.
Find a way to express it so that way, so you're not holding it in, it's causing you more stress and
Yeah. Yeah.
unhappiness. That's
And
part of self-regulation.
journaling can help. See, instead of lashing out, if you can write it down, sometimes when somebody made you mad, they don't really want to. If you don't have to speak, if you start writing, or if you can excuse yourself and maybe walk a little bit,
Yeah,
that can sort a lot of because there are things you can say, it would be difficult to take it back no matter
yeah.
how many apologies you are. So being able to know what triggers you and how to take immediate control. If somebody's going to trigger you, depends on who you are, and then the real you will come out.
I
But
agree.
it depends on how you have actually trained yourself.
Yeah, yeah. No, I agree. Jeremy
Yeah.
says for sure,
Mhm.
don't repress your emotions, self-regulation. That's the key.
Mhm.
Look, that's all right. So let's hear from Cyrus. Now he's been very, very
Okay.
patient. Well, he's fallen off a couple of times.
Yeah.
But thank you so much. Again, I'll give everyone a chance to speak. So if you want to
Oh,
speak,
I have to leave. I told you I just came in. Okay.
thank you for joining us. Thank you, and
I'm
congrats
sorry.
on your
Thank
book.
you.
Congratulations on your book as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you for making it happen.
Yeah,
Cyrus, I haven't seen you in a while. Thank you for
Hi,
coming.
how's it going?
I'm good. How
You all
are you?
right? I'm not bad, thank you so much. How are you guys? You okay?
We're doing good. We're
we're all
doing
right.
good.
Nice to
Good to
see
be
you.
here.
You're looking good. That's
Oh, thank
good.
you, thank you. And not as good as that cute little exotic thing, Annie.
Hey, come remind you, Sarah. She lives near you. I remind you. She lives in England, same as you do, right?
Yeah, I joined the show from the moment that our Christiana explained about that case and the problem with HR, etc., etc. I just wanted to say, well done to her for handling the issue like the way she did. That was fantastic. And also, I wanted to acknowledge three of the authors of this brilliant book, Lessons We Learned from COVID-19. I was so these days, more of the stuff that was mentioned in this book is coming out, and I highly recommend this book, guys. Lessons We Learned from COVID-19. Definitely get it. It's a really good book.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
So
Thank you.
this book is ahead of its time. That's what I'm trying to say. So regarding emotional regulation, I just wanted to very briefly have a little bit of contribution to the show. It's a very good show, and I'm happy to be here. So, if a person is easily offended, you need to ask yourself now, am I easily offended? Am I not easily offended? Do I know someone who gets offended very easily? So first of all, people choose to be offended, right? So when people get offended, mostly it is a choice. Okay, you can easily make a different choice, right? What happens to you is out of your hands, out of your control, but how you react to it is definitely in your control. So people who get offended very easily, so they may be good at controlling their emotions, but maybe they could be a little bit better at regulating their emotion, because regulating is very different to controlling, right? So when things are about to get out of control, you have to control them, right? If you don't if you're not speeding, you wouldn't have to control the vehicle. If you're driving at a normal speed, you enjoy the ride, right? There's a massive difference between the two, right? So people who are not really good at self-regulation, emotional regulation, these are the people who get manipulated very easily. Now, how does that happen? It's really a delicate thing. I'm going to mention a couple of points. Your spouse, your girlfriend, your boyfriend guilt trips you if you are easily offended. Okay, everyone's walking on eggshells around you. Some people call it a minefield. You could be prone to emotional gaslighting as well, and people will definitely try to make you doubt your feelings and emotions as well, because they know you are just a small event away from losing your emotional control. People would try to emotional blackmail you. Your children would try to emotionally blackmail you. They would demonstrate something that they call tantrum, or a tantrum manipulation. Your boss would overwork you by simply flattering you, right? So and most of the control that you have is fear-based. If you easily offended, people are afraid of offending you, so automatically that's fear-based. Whatever they do towards you, whatever you do towards them, is all fear-based, and fear is not good. That is the difference between someone mentioned the beautiful thing in the show earlier, the power. Okay, so you use force, you don't use power. These two things are opposing things. You lose power when you use force, generally speaking, in life. So and power is something you can't lose, but force, as soon as you stop applying force, your power is gone. And your friends would manipulate you if you're easily offended. Like they would show passive aggressive. They would try to passively aggressively guilt trip you into doing things or avoiding things. They would tell you, they would exclude you from meetings, parties, etc., etc. And online as well, you find a lot of fake friends if you are easily offended as well. Most of your friends are fake online if you are easily offended. And in advertising, you will be the number one that target of advertising, because the advertisers know how to trigger you, and you may not feel these things. If you get easily offended, you may not feel it as well. So that's the reason why you have to sit down and have a really quick think. Am I getting easily offended or not? Thank you.
You make some amazing points there, my friend.
Thank you.
We are easily offended, but I think that goes back to Michael's point, which is that we're carrying this bag of triggers. This is now almost this bag of glass. If you break one, I'm gonna go mad at you. We do have we do have to sort ourselves out and learn to, I guess, expect the best of people. I do, because if we walk around, and put everyone on eggshells, someone's going to crack the shell eventually, right? Someone's going to break something. So I'm saying, we have to have, it's a sense of balance, it's a sense of confidence, assuredness, and and knowing who we are, what we're really trying to achieve. That's not like that's on us. Of course, I love your point that if we do choose to be affected, we choose to be offended, we choose to be, we choose what happens to us based on what others do. But there is a building our resilience. There is a building our self-confidence, our sense of self, our sense of mission. I think this is an important part of the conversation. We need to be more resilient. We need to maybe develop strategies to help us handle difficult emotions. Resilience essentially just means being stronger to deal with similar situations more effectively in the future. That's what it means, right? So it's about developing coping strategies. If we do feel strong emotions, who can we talk to? We have trusted friends who we can talk to. Dr. Roxana mentioned several times journaling. Writing our emotions, writing our feelings down, and then working through them. Sometimes I think just engaging in mindfulness activities makes a difference. Whether it's yoga, whether it's meditation, mindset practices, they will help. But also finding ways to chill out, to relax, to enjoy yourself. Hobbies, we call those things, right? We need to build these things into our lives. We can't live on a tightrope forever. That does us no good. Eventually, someone will upset us, and we will come unstuck. There's much for us to learn. I say, of course, we've got a few more weeks to keep learning about this topic. So the next conversation is going to be about motivation. Like I say, there's no point having emotional intelligence if you have no goals, if you have nowhere to go, nothing to do. The whole point of developing emotional intelligence is to help us achieve our goals, do what we want to do, live the life we want to live. So let's talk about motivation in the next one. It's I think it's a slightly easier conversation than emotion-based conversations. But afterwards, we're going to come back to emotions and empathy and social skills. Go on, Cyrus.
Yeah, I was going to say, considering that you have plenty of experience in management and business and running businesses and helping businesses, and there's a lot of capable CEOs in this room right now, lots of business owners, and lots of decision makers in this room. I think it would be beneficial if you please explain a little bit about how emotional regulation helps one's business as well, helps it grow.
Yeah, look, again, great question, my friend, great question. Again, this emotional intelligence is not abstract. It's not an abstract theory. It's a real theory, right? If you think, in our role as business owners and business leaders, we've all made rash decisions based on emotions. Emotional intelligence, gives you the tools to slow down and make better decisions. So we've all had workplace conflict. I had to deal with workplace conflicts. And sometimes we get it wrong because we are too quick to react. So that's what makes Christiana's and Joni's shares so amazing, because they've learned how to respond, not react. What do we want in the workplace? We want everyone to be at peace. We want everyone to be working happily and everyone to be working together, right? Collaboration more than competition. And if we can manage our emotions and deal with situations objectively, again, the question is, as a leader, what do you want from the people who work with you? You have to treat them accordingly. You have to act accordingly, behave accordingly, right? Sometimes, that just means be respectful, be courteous. It's something that it also means resolving conflicts where resolving challenges where they do arise, issues that come up. Without, so without understanding our emotions, so emotional awareness, self-awareness, call it what you like, right? Without understanding ourselves, we almost can't work with others, because we know we need to understand ourselves, find our peace within us, and then we can approach the world and treat others with the human condition that we all have, right? To treat them with respect, and treat them with a way that makes them feel appreciated, make them feel valued, and make them want to carry on working for you. The worst thing as a leader you can do is for pretty much, as Cristiano mentioned, be that ignorant bully. You're not funny. That you're a bully, and you're sexist, you're racist. I could carry on. I'm saying no one wins that situation. A good leader who understands, I can't say enough, empathy. They understand how others feel. They understand how they make others feel. They understand why others are doing what they're doing. It doesn't make it right to say, well, literally, unless we are at peace with ourselves, we can't have empathy. We can't treat others with respect. We can't give others, the grace they need. I'm as guilty as anyone for overreacting. Of course, no. Especially when I was younger. The coach mentioned something earlier that it's funny, but it's true. As Africans, we have our own book of rules. Disrespectful things thou shalt not do to me. And I said, mine was very simple. I say simple, but mine, okay. We all have triggers, my friend. But my trigger was when I walked into my office, staff were there, right? And everywhere I've ever worked, when I was a kid, when the manager walks in, the boss walks in, everyone pays attention. Everyone suddenly looks like they're busy, right? They all suddenly get on with it. So I would not have in my company, when I walked into my offices, that people carried on talking. I would fire you instantly. Someone I fired literally because they didn't say good morning any. I was like, you're fired. Coat, out, gone. It doesn't make me right. It just, I'm human. I still got my own triggers, but I try not to respond that way, Cyrus. I try and be a bit more considered, but I probably wouldn't employ you, and I'll probably fire you anyway, eventually, right? I might give you a chance for a couple of days now, but I'll still find it, because I just think that's so rude. But we've all got our rules and our boundaries. I'm saying that's just, would I make it plain clear these days that you must have manners? Yes. That's what I've learned, because hopefully that will avoid that sort of situation. So that's another one. The last one I would say, and that's in a business context, is how we treat our customers. Now, there's no business owner who hasn't had an unhappy customer. Not will have, right? And how we respond to that situation matters, of course. Emotional intelligence is invaluable in that situation. When you got a customer screaming at you, shouting at you, and they feel cheated, they feel wronged, how are you going to react? How you react could even make the situation worse. Or you could go the other way and give the customer some empathy. I know why you feel the way you do. I'll be upset just like you in that situation. Maybe you don't feel that way. Maybe you don't really feel that way, but I'm saying customer service, my friend, means you have to suck it up, breathe, and accept the customer's view, because their view is the only one that matters. There's always that question: is the customer always right? Yes, they are. They're paying the bill, right? Does that mean that everything they say is true? No, not really. But as a business, Cyrus, we must show them that we're on their side, right? And the simple
I agree. I could totally agree with you.
I think just giving them that little bit of I know why you feel the way you do. I understand. Yes, do I say I'm going to give you a refund? Do I say I'm going to redo the work? What do I've got to say something that's going to smooth the relationship, make you feel better, right? Make them feel heard. That's probably the thing. And if we can do that right, if we can just show empathy, emotional intelligence to our customers, they tend to become more loyal. They do. They really do. And we'll want loyal customers. That's how you build a business. You can't be annoying customers and having them go somewhere else. You want to keep the good ones. Some customers, you have to say, you know what, we're just not for you. It's never going to work. We just don't align. And then you have to let them go, right? But best times, we have to find a way to placate them and get them to pay the bill that they owe, right? Go on,
I have been in sales now for, 20 years. Yeah. It's it's kind of embarrassing to admit that. But anyways, what I wanted to say was one of the best techniques to develop your sense of empathy with a client is ask a ton of questions and reiterate to them what they are saying. And this can work with your children too. Be like, so, how was your day? Or what went on in whatever class? Or why are you exactly frustrated with our workmanship? Or, what were you expecting from this that we didn't deliver? Or, you can, people like to talk, obviously. But, it is a really good strategy to just keep asking questions so that you really dial down on what is actually frustrating them. And the empathy just comes out that way, because then you can really get to the heart of the problem, or the heart of the, it may be a less severe problem than you think. The fact that you had fired someone by not saying hello, and maybe they just got flicked off by a driver, and their mom just got let into hospice. Like, you don't know. So you always have to give people kind of a chance to at least dial down. And that's what I have definitely learned being in sales. And I think it makes me a pretty good sales professional.
It does. It does. It makes you a sales expert, Journey.
I'm a sales expert.
And may I please say something in addition to what Joe just mentioned?
Feel free.
I was going to say, in a sales job that I worked for a few years, there was a rule in the office, and that was you do not talk for the first 15 minutes. When I entered that environment, I didn't know what that meant. Like, what do you mean don't talk for first 15 minutes? First 15 minutes doesn't belong to you. It belongs to the customer. And then they trained me on it. And then until they explained to me why this was happening, I wouldn't understand it, and I wasn't applying it properly. So as soon as I understood it, things started to work for me, right? So the first 15 minutes, you let the client talk and explain. And so I felt the way Joe felt at the beginning. I thought, well, yeah, people want to talk non-stop. They just want to say things. And then I asked my manager, like, why is it? Is it just because they want to talk? And he said to me, yes and no. I was like, is it a yes or is it a no? And he said to me, it's a yes because they do want to talk, and me and you are talking. Otherwise, how would we communicate, right? I was like, yeah. But how is it that it's a no? He said no, because it's not like people want to talk constantly. People want to be feeling that they are heard constantly. That is the reason why they speak constantly. If they felt they are heard, they would stop talking. Sometimes they're like, oh, okay, so you get me. I'm not going to explain any further. You understood me. That's when they stop talking. So when you're a prospect, when your client keeps talking and talking and talking, they feel they haven't been heard enough. They feel you haven't understood them enough. That's my point, basically. Thank you.
I agree. Go on, Joni.
No, I think that's why, gosh, so a couple big companies I worked for always were encouraging me to do like lunch and learns, like, and I'm like, these things just don't really work without engagement and without me really getting to the point of why they wanted me to come here, besides bringing Portillo's or something. And so that's why people tune out so quickly at lectures or, in classrooms, because they want to be heard. Exactly what Cyrus said. They want to be the ones to be reciprocated. And if you are selling a product or you are on the side of a conversation where someone has been wronged, or your kids feeling kind of down, like, it's so much better to just, I don't know, get them talking, get that empathy going, as you said, Annie. Just get the empathy out there and be like, create a little bit of humor, but really say, I'm here to learn from you. I'm not lunching and learning. I know about this product. All right. So that's just.
I mean, it's true. I mean, Sarah's asked a question. I think just some people, from most people, I might go as far as say most people, all they want for you to listen to them. They want to feel heard, and that's the truth, right? So it doesn't take much as a business to display emotional intelligence. I'd say, Cyrus and Jonah, you said it very well there. Just by showing interest in what they're saying. Again, maybe I'll say to you, look at the opposite reaction. Oh, you're always complaining. I'm not listening. You've lost a customer. And what they're going to tell their friends, and the goodness knows, right? I'm saying, whereas if you just show interest and show willing to listen and to put it right if it is wrong, that's what the customer really wants. Now, we're all customers. Think what we want. Sometimes the customer's reaction is not because something's so wrong. It's because they want you to take it seriously. And once you show that you care, they will walk away with how you made them feel. That's emotional intelligence in action. Again, like I said, as business owners, we know we're not always wrong. Of course, we're not always wrong. There's a reason why something's gone the way it has. And very often, is the customer's doing. I didn't say it's their fault. I said it's their doing, right? But we've still got to respond in a way that makes them feel heard, valued, appreciated, and it makes them feel important. That's emotional intelligence at work. I hope we will do this every day, because we have to. Otherwise, we're going to keep losing customers. In the early days of my business, I remember my coach told me, he's like, this business can't grow because you are a leaking bucket. I'm like, what? He goes, well, if you think of a leaking bucket, Eddie, put as much water as you like in it, if there's holes in it, you're losing customers. I'm like, you got a point there. Listen, I used to get very angry with my customers. If you don't pay me, you're gone. Don't give me content, you're gone. If you don't do this, do that. Again, you can't run a business that way. You have to learn how to balance your emotions. Our conversation today, emotional regulation. You have to learn how to be, on the side of what you want. I could say the customer side. You can be on the customer side if that's what you want. If you want to carry on getting their money, Yes, be on their side every time, right? That's what we do as businesses, because that's how it works. If you don't care about the customer, you really want them to go. Sometimes it comes to that, my friend. Let's accept the truth. Some customers, they're more a pain in the behind than we want to tolerate, and they cost us money. Each time we have to deal with their foibles, their weirdisms, their weirdness. Some of the customers, you got to say, look, I'm sorry, I don't agree. You're wrong. Yes, go. But you have to get big enough as a business to respond like that. In the early days, we feel like we have to hold on to every customer, even the bad ones. No, you don't have to at all. Set your boundaries. Work out who. The customers are different categories. Some are A class customers that you want. Some are C class customers that you don't want. D class, so that you like, nah. The sooner you can recognize them, and then you can play the game of emotions. Do I want them or don't I want them? If you don't want them, okay, then they go. If you want them, you have to play a different game, play the emotional game, and then make them feel special. And then we always win, right? But I think the point, Cyrus, is that this conversation is not abstract; it's real life. How you treat your customers, how you treat your friends, how you treat your partner, how you treat your colleagues. It's all in the same vein. If we can learn to control our emotions, almost guaranteed we'll have better relationships, we'll have fewer conflicts, better collaborations, more joy in our in what we do, more joy in our day, full stop, right? It's not that hard to do, but it is hard. It's not that hard to do, but it's not simple. I'll say that much. I do want to tackle Henry's question. Can we show sincerity and integrity of emotion, and to gain the trust of others? I would love to know what you think, and anyone on stage. Then I'll give Henry my answer.
Okay, what's the question again, please?
Right. How can we use sincerity and integrity of emotion to better gain the trust of others?
What is it? So meaning is different from words. What does the phrase?
He's saying that business is, we live in a world that's more greed driven, and people don't tell the truth.
Okay. Okay.
And trust levels are plummeting.
Yes. Actually,
go on, please.
Yeah. Actually, trust is a reservoir, and every action or inaction either adds to it. Every action either adds or subtracts from it. Anytime you open a Nike bag, there is a brand trust that you have. The day the product does not meet that brand trust, the meaning you associate with Nike and the box of shoe in your hand will begin to dissociate or disintegrate. So it's actually an asset to have integrity as an emotional capital with your brand. So integrity and trust. Trust is that you will do everything you said you will do repeatedly. Anytime people encounter your brand, their emotions live with the fact that they've received that value. So we can have emotional branding, which means the product is branded with the experience of integrity and trust. Integrity meaning that if you call it A, you say, if you call it B, you B. And you can also make that a business process factor. You can put integrity and trust. So if I go to any shop, in Birmingham, or any studio in central London, or any studio in Basingstoke, or any studio in Manchester, or anywhere else for that matter, the studio will open at 4. It opens at 4. We will give you the best experience. There will be water. So whichever place I go to, I trust that I'll get a certain service. So you can interpret that into your business process, for example, and so that people feel that emotion. Then you do a survey at the end of the day that on a scale of 1 to 5, how much do you feel like you trust this brand? And you can keep doing that survey and use that as customer feedback. So you can engineer it into your business process. You can engineer it into your consumer brand experience. You can engineer it into your product design or development. You can engineer it into your service level agreements. And you can even do restitution that we know we're not there yet. For every time that you are delayed and the studio does not open at so time and doesn't close at so time, we will give you a 10% or a 5%, or you have a new service. You can come back to us and they will give you a fresh service or whatever. I mean, what's the bigger point? The bigger point is that trust levels and integrity are, because of the way people are greedy, is actually blue ocean. It's a place where we can have competitive advantage. So that's my take on that. And thank you for asking. It's a very brilliant business question.
Yeah, like great response, my friend. Great response. Linda, thank you for joining us. Of course, I understand 3 hours in, I'm not understand that you have to go. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll talk soon, Linda, because we need to plan your room. Linda wants to talk mental well-being. So I'm more than happy to support you on that one. And of course, I know you're writing your novels as well. Look, I think that I'll probably build off what you were saying, Coach David, in the sense that I think the answer, the sincerity and integrity, it does come down to the intentions of the business, maybe the business owner. So in my business, the customer comes first, and we'll do anything to serve the customer and give them what they want, what they need. It doesn't mean I have no standards. No, I do have some things that I will look at. I publish books, and there's some authors I will say, your book is good to go, but I'm not going to publish it until you make the right changes, until you make it better for your readers, until you make it, until you correct the mistakes, for example. There's someone I'm talking to right now. I'm saying, unless your book goes past Christiana, we're not going to publish it because I can't take the risk. But again, so that's from a place of I want your book to be as good as it can be for you and for your readers. As businesses, I think we have to have that love for our clients above all else. You see, when I say those words, I know what happens. What happens is that as you grow, as you get staff, as you are less on the front line yourself, it's very hard to pass on those qualities and those beliefs that I have. Yes, there's ways to try and pass on the culture and create a culture of customer centric, and maybe in line with. There's a book out there called Unreasonable Hospitality, and it really is about businesses going above and beyond to delight their customers. And those who have that ethos have a better chance of being sincere and being honest in how to deal with their customers. But I think all of us have to learn that we need to have that level. We need to be at least seen as wanting to do right by our customers. Yes, of course, that will gain some trust. But again, as you're saying, Coach David, everyone is playing the same game. Those who can take it to the next level and really be what they preach are the ones that are going to keep delivering for the customers, and then the customers are going to give them more trust and more money, more business. Yay. We win, right? Hopefully, we've answered your question, Henry. Hopefully. I'm always grateful if you want to come to the studio and pick or elaborate on your points. I'll say that much for sure. If anyone else wants to have a go at the question, then by all means do.
If I may, please, if there's nobody else wanting to speak, I will explain about one thing. Is there anybody else who wants to? Any other takers?
No one's unmuted, so the mic is yours.
Thank you so much. I was going to say, telling the customer the truth is different to telling. Well, he's mentioned the word others. Okay, so I assume I'm going to assume that he's referring to customers or his podcast's listeners. So a great question, by the way, Henry. So telling people all the details of ins and outs of how you're going to help them is not necessarily going to be helpful to you. As an example, I'm going to give you a very clear example here. If Apple told you our mobile phones have really good speakers, have really good microphones. By the way, guys, we are spying on you. So how popular do you reckon their phones would be? Now, people who want a product, especially an already established product, they do not care about the flaws of the product that much. Once they are sold on it, they are sold on it. I'm sure Jo would testify to this fact because she's a salesperson, or she has been in sales long enough. Um, so, so that the relationship between truth and trust. So, truth doesn't necessarily mean you have to be providing all the ins and outs of how you're going to help the customer. Some of the ways in which you're going to help the customer might be off-putting for the customer. As an example, if you tell a child you're going to go into your doctor's office and they're going to inject you with this really super painful thing, you just tell the child it's good for your future, and it just takes a moment. That's it, right? So you give them as much information as they need. And in terms of the more important thing that Henry continued in his question, he's talking about something that has been established: no truth, polarizing no truth statements that media and corporations are actually providing to people. I don't find that concerning. Let me tell you what I find more concerning. It's not the product that is concerning, it's the buyers. So if the product has been established, you should think, oh my God, there is enough people buying it. That's why it exists on the shelves these days, as much as it does and as brazenly as it does, right? So if the media are providing misleading, misinformation, disinformation, etc., that means it is wanted. People are paying for it. People are paying for it with their time. Okay, so that means it's established. So now, if you apply sincerity and transparency to your business, yes, you're going to win compared to those providers of misinformation and disinformation. But it doesn't mean necessarily you have to provide all the ins and outs and provide the unnecessary situation, because when you over-explain, you're talking yourself out of a sale. That, again, Joe would testify to that as well. When you're dealing with a client, you let it be customer led instead of being the salesperson led. Thank you.
It's true. On mute. Oh no. I froze down.
I think you froze any, right?
that. My computer nearly gave up the ghost. So I don't know why. 3 hours in, my computer is struggling, but no. Sorry about that, Cyrus. I think I agree with with the explanation. Hopefully, so I'm back, Coach David. We can hear you. So our goal signify what we desire by our emotions, which drive our habits, our respective realities. I agree with you. My friends, we've been 3 hours in, we've done well, right? Any froze, my screen froze. I realized I froze. I was like, what can I? But I tried to unmute to speak. That's where I was in. I was clicking on the buttons in the background. That's probably where it all went wrong. But it's all right. It's been an amazing conversation. I can't really summarize. There's been too much covered. I think my advice is to anyone is always, if you want to know what we've talked about today, if you want to, get the tips and the gems that my amazing speakers have shared, and also in the comments. Then go and watch the replay. The replay will be on your DM anyway, right? So watch the replay. There's so many good things that were said by everyone who's spoken today. Coach, you're still here. I applaud you. I applaud you. I really do. You have to be here as well. So well done. We've got our show on Friday. So do connect Coach David in the comments. And join us to discover his. He's got a story to tell. I think I got the topic we're discussing on Friday wrong, Coach Dave, the other day, right? I think I was talking about the prophecy topic, but that's not our topic on Friday. Is how to be indispensable in your work, right? But truly amazing and be indispensable at work. So do join us that conversation. But we'll go through the comments and we'll respond to everyone, and then we'll go from there. 3 hours, 18 minutes in. I don't want to push the 4 hour limit because there's always there's normally a 4 hour limit on these events. So hopefully we're not going to go there. Joni, I thank you. Dr. Marcia, Christiana, Dr. Roxana. Thank you so much, everyone that's joined us. And Taisha was here before everyone, by the way. But we chatted. So, Coach David, what's your last words today? Anything that you want to leave our friends with?
Yeah, simple. Your emotions is a lot. It's probably all you have. Beyond money, it's your tool, your raw material to be great. It's a software that runs your life. It's a software that runs your life. It's a software that runs your life. And the emotion is the key to your belief system.
Yes.
Your emotions is how you can reprogram your belief system, is how you can program it. There's something called emotional capital. There is emotional capital. So there's an emotional bank and there's emotional capital. So beyond intelligence, we must capitalize on emotions. Emotions have capital. For example, happy thoughts, happy feelings, or the positive feelings give energy. They give positive, and that's the capital. And that capital is a bank of action, while the negative emotions give you deficits. So we are not all non-neutral. We cannot be neutral. We must take hold of our emotions. So thank you, Annie. Thank you.
Thank you. Beautifully said. Jeremy, thank you for joining us. I'm so glad you're here, Jeremy. Jeremy is my sales guy in the US. It talks confidence and business growth at the same time. So, thank you so much. Look, and I agree with you. I guess the reason I'm glad I brought the topic, because I think so little is said about emotions, even though, like you say, Coach David, it underpins everything we do. I see a lot of people who want a different life. They want different results, and they don't realize that their emotions, their thinking, their feeling is what keeps them stuck almost. It took me a long time to learn. The books I read, that's why I do what I do, right? Feeling is the secret. How we feel determines what happens to us, as you're saying, Coach David. It's true. If we live, if we truly learn to find positivity and that peace, that happiness within us, everything will change overnight. Especially if we practice mindfulness and we're very intentional. Our feelings will get us where we're trying to get to. But many people, they're hijacked by their feelings. And it's not just anger, frustration. That's what everyone thinks about. I think, worry, anxiety, fear. These are all emotions. And when we learn to control them, to manage them, to capitalize on them, as you say, Coach David, our lives change drastically. That's why I talk about this topic in this room. But thank you so much, everyone. Cyrus, anything you want to say before we go? No? Okay. You haven't unmuted, so I see nothing. Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say thank you so much for this opportunity, Annie. I was going to say also, I think it was over a year ago when I got to know your show, yourself, and the fantastic friends that you have, including Coach David and many other people, and also Paula Talon and many other people. I have become more confident ever since, and I got rid of that evolutionary kind of fear of the fear of lack of acceptance, and fear of thinking that I am not good enough in what I write, in what I do, and in what I create. So ever since, since a year ago, I create more music, create more podcasts, and I published my story. And it is very important who you associate and you surround yourself with, right? You can't change the people around you, but you can change the people around you. So I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you so much.
No, well said. Well said. Who we hang around determines who we become, what we think is right behavior, right? We need to learn. Again, just be more intentional, my friends. Be more intentional. Make the right friends. Hang around the right people, and do the right things. Do the right thing for us to achieve our goals. How we behave, how we respond, how we react. It all counts. So thank you, Cyrus. Thank you, Coach David. You've lasted to the end. Those in the audience who are still here, I appreciate you. Look,
my pleasure.
Games. I will say to everyone, go to the comments page, my friends, and see which comments resonate with you, and see who you want to connect with. That's how this events really work. Is the friends we make and the people we actually get to talk to. Again, emotional intelligence. People always ask me, no one wants to talk to me, but I will say to them, right, do you care what they do? If you do, they'll talk to you. So that's just emotional intelligence in a business sense. Care about other people. That will the conversation will be had in an empathy conversation probably a month from now. So, but our next set topic is a motivation topic. Why it's important to our emotions. So enjoy your night. Thank you so much. Join us tomorrow, Christiana's room, about how couples can find their love after miscarriage and baby loss. A big topic, of course. And I have another one in the evening with Sandra Bothe. And the conversation is about why do we not ask for help when we need it. And then we'll get to Coach David's room on Friday. Yay. Do join us, my friends. So enjoy your evening. Enjoy your day, wherever you are in the world. Thank you so much, everyone. Let me play outgoing music. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Have a nice day, everyone. Have a nice evening. Bye-bye.
If you watch us on YouTube, there's always that thing about there's a video over there that you can watch, and I don't know which one it is, right? I don't know, because I give you options. You can watch a video, or they can go to a playlist. But either way, watch other videos, engage with my channel, please, if you're watching this on replay, right? And subscribe. So, and
Yeah.
David.
Quick question, Annie.
Good.
How do I stop? How do I stop the broadcast?
I stop it. I'm going to stop it in a second.
All right.
When I press end my end, then it stops ordinary. But then I think yours has to upload. Don't ask me why. There's a benefit somewhere. But when I press end stream, then it ends it for everyone.
All right.
Give me a minute. Give me 30 seconds. Let's play the outgoing music and end the stream there. I dare say our intro music, our outgoing music was devised, created, recorded, and just sorted out by Cyrus, the genius Cyrus that we have here, right?
Thank you so much.
Song, by the way, we will do. So here goes. Bye everyone. Bye everyone. Bye.
Every step forward is a new beat to your drama. She's success with Global.Media.com. And celebrate it with or without champagne or rum. She's success with Global.Media.